Stand up, New York Giant fans. First time I've been live in, I don't know, about 5-6 weeks. Took a little break from the lives. Excited to be back. Got Baddog on the channel. We'll be back doing the show probably for next 5-6 weeks leading up into the draft, maybe a couple weeks after the draft, and then we'll hit the ground running late July again before the season. But Baddog, man, how's it been?
It's been all right. What is that song from 48 hours ago? 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. Right. The boys are back, and we're back.
We're back.
Yes, we are back. And yeah, like Chris said, probably right through the middle of May, obviously leading up to the draft. There's going to be a lot of rumors floating around, tons of mock drafts. Giants obviously made some moves here in free agency. Nothing huge, but a couple things to go over tonight without a doubt. But definitely draft is getting closer. It is. It's about it for me. Really, it's like 2 weeks away because in 2 weeks I'm on vacation for 2 weeks, so I know that'll fly by at that point. So.
Yeah, I can't wait. I can't wait till the draft's here. Yeah. It's going to be a lot of fun. You see all the mock drafts. Everybody's super excited about it. You're getting every week there's a differing opinion, and you see players going up and down these mock drafts. We'll know on draft night where we're going to be going, but we'll talk about it throughout the stream. Like you said, we'll talk about some of the free agent pickups. Let's say hello to a couple people in the chat. Andrew Christopher's in the chat. Pumpkin's in the chat. Jesse Montez in the chat. Jonathan in the chat. Pablo in the chat. Alex in the chat. Pumpkin, of course, a regular. What's going on, my man? What's going on there? Lake Nona. Nick the Wick with the member chat. He says, why does this say 1 month? No, it says 21 month where I read it, Nick. It says member for 21 months. Standard member. I don't know if that's what you're referring to, but it says 21 months for me. Brian Dableman, what's going on there? KP, what's going on there? Andrew Boyle, what's going on there? Anthony DeSantis. Junior Salazar Nash in the chat. Epson in the chat. Sean Sullivan in the chat. He says, we'll get to all of it. What's going on there? Albin, man, thanks for popping in. Captain, best supporters on YouTube. Thank you so much for being here. Ricard, Shinhai Pedals, man. Cleverson, Joseph. Thank you guys so much. Baddog. So let's start with free agency. I think when the offseason started, we knew it was going to be a quiet offseason. New York Giants, in terms of free agency, the New York Giants last year spent like crazy, and they backloaded salaries. You got a new GM that came in. Joe Shane said when he took the job, he didn't want to backload any contracts. He said he wanted to shed $40 million off the cap. Hasn't quite accomplished that yet. He's still working on it, and we'll talk about that as well. I think a pending James Bradbury trade's probably coming, but they've gotten rid of a lot of these contracts for sure. And Evan Ingram's gone now. Hopefully we get a comp pick for him. And they've made a lot of smaller signings. You know, you look at some of the guys that the New York Giants have signed. CJ Board's back. Special teamer David Sills is back. Robert Forster. Glowinski was probably the big one. Not that it's a huge move, but a guy that's going to start, something that we definitely needed on the interior line. Feliciano step in as a stopgap center. Tyrod Taylor is going to be the backup quarterback. And then, Jaron Williams, Ricky Seals-Jones will be a second tight end. Corey Cunningham is a depth piece. Jamil Dunn, a bunch of depth guys. Matt Breida was a decent pickup. He had some speed in the backfield. But that's kind of what I expected. I think the crux of this roster where we're really going to improve is going to be in April. We got 2 picks inside the top 7 and 5 picks inside the top 81.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, not a lot of cap space to mess around. Just kind of filling some holes there. Right there. Try to fill some holes right there. But yeah, I call these guys camp bodies. I mean, that's pretty much what it is. You need to fill out the roster. And yeah, like you said, Glowinski's probably the biggest thing we did. Maybe Tyrod Taylor up there as well. I'll be honest. I've been saying this the whole time. I was like, I kind of like what he did. And then someone's like, well, you like what Gettleman did too. And that's true. I did. When Kevin first came in, the free agent stuff that he did, I was like, oh yeah, that's a good move. That didn't work. But again, Shane didn't have a lot to do. I do like that he addressed the backup quarterback situation, though, because as you know, Daniel Jones hasn't been able to get through a full season without being injured and missing at least a couple of games. Don't know what the next deal is with Daniel Jones still. And obviously, Tyrod Taylor is a massive upgrade over the draft. And
we would have been an upgrade over the draft.
That's yeah, you're probably right. Fromm wasn't, though. I mean,
no, you're right. Worse. No, all kidding aside, Tyrod Taylor's a very good backup, very capable backup.
Very serviceable backup. So you feel like if Tyrod Taylor does have to play, it's not like you're going to go, oh, we definitely have no chance. I mean, we have less of a chance, maybe. I know some people thought that they brought Tyrod Taylor in as competition for Daniel Jones. I don't see that as the case. It'll be interesting to see which direction they go in the draft. For me, letting them letting Logan Ryan go was interesting. And to me, that brought Kyle Hamilton to the table a lot because we have two safeties. We have McKinney and Love going into the year. And there was a lot of talk about Hamilton before. I still don't want Hamilton, but to me, that would make a lot more sense now that they let Logan Ryan go. And then if they're able to move Bradbury, then you got an empty corner, and it's possible Sauce Gardner or Stingley goes there. It's going to be really interesting to see what they do. I still want the offensive line, but
and you couple, you start bringing up the secondary. You couple the fact that now with our defensive coordinator Wink Martindale, you're talking about a guy that blitzes more than anybody in the league, like polar opposites of Patrick Graham. Graham, we always said, was passive due to some of the limitations on the defense. Wink doesn't care. Wink was number one in blitz frequency for 3 consecutive years before last year. You have to be able to cover. Mm-hmm. And if you're going to lose James Bradbury, not to mention, like you said, we lost Logan Ryan, which I think a lot of Giants fans were a little bit confused with that cut because we didn't save anything in terms of cap space.
So how did that work, Chris? Because I saw it had something to do with the guaranteed money. So is the $800,000 like, is that, because I heard 6.3 million.
We saved like $750,000.
So and then we get to 5.5 million, because that was where I thought the difference was, that he either was going to get that 5.5 million or they weren't going to give him the guaranteed money. And there was kind of
there was a lot of debate.
Yeah, I didn't know what the final outcome of that was.
Yeah, it was
800,000.
Nothing.
That doesn't make
sense.
The
way you could actually look at it like they lost cap space because they're going to have to spend money to potentially replace Logan Ryan on the roster. But the way I looked at that when it went down, I think it was the Giants looked at Logan Ryan and they said to themselves, this is a guy we don't view this guy as a part of the future of our team. They probably didn't feel like he fit the defensive scheme. And I think they tried to do right by the player. I think that was an instance where they tried to do right by the player, a guy they respect, a veteran leader, approaching 31 years old. It's a rebuilding football team.
Yep.
And I think that was like the most obvious hint for any Giants fan that thought, oh, maybe they're not rebuilding. They're rebuilding. And Logan Ryan saw the writing on the wall. He wanted to get out of there. The next day, he signed with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, a Super Bowl contender. So I think we're rebuilding, and I'm happy about that. I think that's what we need to do. I know a lot of Giants fans don't want to go through it. I don't want to go through it. I want this team to be great, but I think it's the right approach. When you bring in a new GM, we expected this, and he's had a slow offseason, but that's what you want. You don't want them to start backloading contracts and tying up cap space for the future.
Right.
Sorry,
Ben. Go ahead. No, go ahead. Get that.
Bill, man, thank you so much, man, for being such a great supporter of the channel, man. Great to see you here. Glad to be back live. He says, good to see you, boys. Pumped for a fresh start. Yeah. The Shane and Dable era, We'll see. Slow and steady. My take on it right now, Bad Dog, is unless Daniel Jones takes a monumental leap, which I don't think most Giant fans think is going to happen, we're looking at 2024 at the earliest, if we're being honest with ourselves, because regardless of how good of a job he does this year, if you move off of Jones, you got a rookie quarterback. You can't expect the rookie quarterback to, lead your team to the playoffs and do incredible things. I mean, it would be nice if he does, but you can't expect that. So we're probably looking at 2024 at the earliest, but it's about building this team the right way for sustained success, something that we were unable to do last time.
Correct. We haven't done it for 5 years. So, but like I was going to say, Shane comes out and says, we're rebuilding. He's kind of like the same thing. We're going to win, but he can't come out in New York and go, we're rebuilding. Like, this is a rebuild. He can't come out right out and say, act like we're not going to win any games. But any Giants fan, I think that's being honest with themselves, has to understand that's what this is. And Gettleman did. Gettleman tried to win and rebuild. That does not work because you're half-ass rebuilding. And getting rid of Logan Ryan and getting rid of some of these guys in his team, I mean, you don't want to backload contracts with this particular bunch because they're no good together. This has been a really bad team. There's really no reason to keep a lot of these guys. Barkley will not be back next year, most likely. He might not make it through this year. Jones, definitely not. I think the reason they got Tyrod Taylor, at least my thought on this, was you got him as a backup. If Jones gets hurt, he comes in. Next year, you draft the quarterback. He's the starter because you got a 2-year contract. And then when the rookie's ready to take the reins, he comes in, and then you go from there. So,
perfect.
That's what I thought why they did that. Obviously, there was a lot of talk about not Mariota, Trubisky coming in here, and he went to Pittsburgh instead, which I think Pittsburgh's doing the same thing. I think they intend to draft a quarterback, and that's why Trubisky's there. So, again, the Giants have a lot of options. There's the offensive line. There's talks about Thibodeau. I don't want to hear this Trayvon Walker stuff. Just because the guy had a great combine.
He's
I
moving
hate
up,
that,
man.
Chris.
I saw a mock today on NFL.com. They had him going first overall.
I
I,
hate it.
I've seen him going top 3, top 4 in a lot of these.
I don't
And don't get
understand.
me wrong, the guy's impressive.
He
Like,
can play, but come on.
but it's crazy how these mocks just alter from week to week. Now you're seeing Jermaine Johnson being mocked to the Giants a lot.
Crazy.
And all this. I didn't look at the most recent mocks, Bad Dog. It's always funny because I saw on Twitter this week there's so much chatter about Jermaine Johnson, and I haven't really. And I know who he is. He's a pretty highly thought of edge rusher prospect, but I didn't really hear New York Giants fans be so outspoken about Jermaine Johnson. All of a sudden, the last couple of days, I see Giants fans. Oh, I actually think Jermaine Johnson might be better than Kayvon Thibodeau. I actually think Jermaine Johnson may be better than this guy, that guy. And then I look at the most recent mock draft. Sure enough, Daniel Jeremiah has him going to the New York Giants. Yeah. So it's just funny how things change week to week. But
they make 40 a year. I mean, they're like the meteorologists. You just keep throwing darts, you're going to get one right. Because the two edge rush we heard about with Thibodeau and Karlaftis from Purdue. Those are the two. And
of course, Hutchinson, but we're not getting him.
Yeah, we're not going to get. I don't think we're going to get Hutchinson. And then when Trayvon Walker had the big combine, he's mocked to the Giants. I don't understand. I like the combine. I like it. I think it's fun to watch. It started in 1982, and sometimes I feel like the combine raises the stock of guys, and I'm like, it's a controlled environment. They're not in an NFL situation, especially the quarterbacks. You're not thrown into coverage. You're not going to get hit. There's no wind. There's no snow. There's no sleet. They should be able to perform there. I mean, they should be able to do well. So I understand this, but I said in the last video I did, in 1981, we drafted this guy. I forgot his name. I think his initials were LT or something. He came out of North Carolina, and there was no combine in 1981. So how the hell did we find him? It's the same thing in the pro day. I love the 40's awesome. I love watching dudes.
Oh, it's great.
Like
the Underwear Olympics.
It's fun. But God almighty, can they run like that in pads? Can they run like that when they're getting contacted off the line of scrimmage? You know what I mean? Do they have that quick burst through the hole if they're a running back? So I like the combine. It's fun, but I just think sometimes teams put too much stock into that performance.
Yeah.
What's that?
And fans, too.
Yeah. I say it all the time. John Ross is a perfect example for me. He ran a 4.22 40. He went 9th overall. He wouldn't have gone. If he didn't run the 40, where do you think he's drafted?
Oh, second, third round at the earliest.
Right.
Definitely not as high as you want.
Sometimes it just, I don't know. Straight on speed's great, but you got to get behind the defense for that to count.
Right.
And that's not always the easiest thing to do in the NFL. So
for sure. Just going to read a couple of these members, and then we'll get to the super chats. LA Sportsman, thank you for being a member for 15 months. Says, what's going on, fellas? I missed you guys and glad that you're back. Love from Toronto as always. How do you see Bradbury's situation playing out? LA Sportsman, thank you so much for being here. I think Bradbury's going to be traded. I mean, I looked at the cap space today, Bad Dog, and I don't know how accurate this is, but I have to think it's fairly accurate on Spot Track. Right now, they have the New York Giants with having $1.1 million in cap space. Their draft expenses, at least according to Spot Track, is $19 million.
Yep.
Because it's 11.5 just for the first 2 picks. Then it's like another $3 million for the next 2 picks. So it's almost $15 million for their first 4 picks. It's 19 overall. Maybe the last 3 or 4 picks don't go against the cap because they only count towards the top 51 salaries. But regardless, you're talking at least $16, $17 million more than likely is got to go towards the draft. Right now, we only got $1 million.
Yeah.
I don't really see an avenue that the New York Giants are going to go down that James Bradbury's on this team because Shane has talked about that he doesn't want to backload contracts. I've seen a lot of fans on Twitter bring up suggestions to me. Do you think that they could push back Leonard Williams' contract? Do you think that they could push back Kenny Galladay's contract? Joe Shane has come out and said that he does not want to do that. Not to mention that neither one of those guys are Joe Shane guys. If I'm Joe Shane, I don't know if I don't know how he feels about Leonard Williams. So do I want to commit another year to Leonard Williams, or do I want that ability to be able to cut him next year and only take an $8 million hit?
Right. Yeah. The cap situation is way better for us in 2023. So yeah, the other thing, Chris, that's possible. And again, we've talked about this a lot. Everyone's like trade down, trade back. That's a possibility, but you got to, like you always say, you got to find a partner. You got to find somebody that you want to trade back with. Is it possible that they take their 5 pick and then if somebody wants 7, they move way down and get more draft capital for next season when they have better cap situation? It's possible, but at the same time, you don't want to just trade back to trade back. You got to get some kind of value for a top 10 pick without a doubt. But yeah, I'm with you. I don't see how Bradbury makes is here. It's like $10 or $12 million if we cut him. Leonard Williams will be cut next year. That saves what, 20 million, 17
18,
million?
I think it is.
Something crazy.
Adoree Jackson, as good as he is, and don't get too attached to him, fans. It's possible he could be cut. It would save us 12 million if we cut him next year.
Yeah.
It's going to cost us 16 to keep him. So again, it's going to come down to what Shane feels about him as a player. There's a lot of players we could potentially cut next year, but I was actually looking at our cap next year today as well. We have right now. I did the math. I think we're going to have like $80 million after draft expenses if we don't keep Daniel Jones, and that's without the cuts. So we could.
If they cut Leonard and Adoree Jackson, you're talking about 110 million. Plus the cap goes up unless you counted that.
No, yeah, I think it takes that into account.
So you're talking over 100 million in cap next year, and that's what you do. This is how you rebuild. You don't do a lot of moves here because you have no cap. So you build in a draft, you get your core players, and then next year you dump all the Gettleman guys that you don't believe are a future of the team. We're not talking 1 year here. You're talking about the future of the team, and then you go out with $100 million in cap space, and you get the guys that you want, and then you solidify your draft again. That's the way this is supposed to work. Gettleman didn't do it properly, and it screwed us, and that's why we're in the situation we are in 2022. Hopefully Shane and Dable will get this thing right. I mean, we probably said this since you and I started working together, but this probably is fact. This is the most important draft the Giants have had in a long time.
I feel like we went back in the DeLorean, Baddog. We're back in 2019. That's what this feels like right now.
But we have 2 top 10 picks this time.
Yeah, this time, yeah.
We better not take a damn quarterback this time.
We'll talk about that. I'm sure we'll talk about that as well. John, I'm going to get to your members chat in a second. Just want to read this from Matt. He says, will you be okay with Cross if he falls? Yeah, I talked about that in a video the other day. I feel like Giants fans are very divided on Charles Cross.
I don't like him.
Some Giants fans want no part of him. I think Charles Cross is being overlooked. Now, I think what some Giants fans see in Charles Cross, and again, I don't pretend to be a guy that is a scout, but I go based off of film analysis that I watch, based off things that the people that are supposed to know what they're talking about when they evaluate these prospects on film. And everything I've heard about Charles Cross seems to be one of the safer prospects at the tackle position in this year's class. Doesn't necessarily have as high of an upside as a guy like an Ekwonu, as a guy like Evan Neal, known to be a very good pass protector. Might be the best pass protector of the 3, average in the run blocking department. At least that's the book on him. The Giants seem to be enamored with Charles Cross. They went to his pro day. Reportedly, they were very interested in him. Of course, it could be smoke and mirrors, but I think Charles Cross is a very high probability for the Giants, depending on who's on the board. If Neal and Ekwonu were off the board, which I don't think they will be. I think one of them is going to get to us, especially after what happened with the trade with the Miami Dolphins getting Tyreek Hill. I think the Jets are going to go cornerback, but we'll see. But if the top 2 tackles are off the board, I think Charles Cross is very much in play for the Giants, and I wouldn't be upset at all. I mean, for me, Baddog, and I was talking about this, I think in my Discord the other day, I think offensive line is like the one position on a football team where I might prefer the higher floor as opposed to the higher ceiling.
Right. I understand what you're saying.
You know what I'm saying? Because you don't need a superstar. You would love a superstar, but you got to have minimum good tackle play. And I think Charles Cross is going to provide that for you. So
consistent.
I'd be happy with him.
The only thing is, like, he'd be out of position there, and that's
he's a left tackle,
right? And that's the thing that worries me. It's not. I know people are like, oh, just put him right tackle. If you get a right tackle, just put him in left tackle. It really isn't that easy. It is a totally different position. I mean, it didn't work with Eric Flowers. Eric Flowers was a right tackle his entire collegiate career, and he was a complete and utter disaster at left tackle for years. And they tried him back at right tackle, and he was a disaster there too. He was a better guard. That's the one thing that really worries me more than anything about Cross, is just moving him to the right side and how he would play there. Now, of course, he'd be an upgrade over Matt Parrott.
We would not. We don't weigh enough, but if we did, we would be. I mean, Matt Parrott has been I cannot believe the New York Giants went into last season thinking that Matt Parrott was going to be the starter at right tackle. And then he got beat out by Nate freaking Solder.
Yeah. And Nate Solder was horrible. And Nate Solder was a year off because of the whole COVID thing. So
there's been rumors that the Giants, I think late in the season, were trying Parrott out at guard. Regardless, I want him nowhere near. He's hurt anyway.
Yeah.
But he won't be starting at the beginning of the year anyway. But yeah, got to move on from him.
Yeah, but I think the Giants got to address I said, you build from the inside out. We go offensive, defensive lineman in the first 2 picks. I'll be very happy. Again, the Kyle Hamilton will make more sense now, but I still don't like a safety in the top 10. It's just, to me, that's not how you rebuild. You rebuild in the trenches, and we'll see if Shane. I mean, listen, Joe Shane's brought in a lot of minor players, but a lot of them are offensive linemen. You notice that he brought in a lot of the line, so he's obviously addressing that, and we'll see exactly how the draft goes. You never know, Chris, because we pick 5th, and there's always that one guy where it's like that guy went 3rd. They took him for like the year
Farrell during the Daniel Jones draft. Nobody going 4th.
Exactly. We're like, oh my God, Josh Allen's going to get to us.
Yeah,
he did. And
you don't know until draft night. You can do all the research you want. You can hear all the rumors you want. There's always at least a pick or two that blows your mind early in the draft, and hopefully that's not us this year. Hopefully that's the teams in front of us.
Yeah.
Gavin, man, thank you. He says, smoking a stogie, sipping on scotch, talking effing G-man.
Nice.
Happy Friday, gents. What's going on, Gavin, man? Thanks, popping in, buddy. And Nick the Wick says, my favorite weekend is draft week. I can't wait.
It's my wife's favorite, too. She gets rid of me for a week. She pawns me off on Chris for 20 hours.
But I'm going to tell you what.
He's all yours.
I'm going to tell you what, though. One of these years, when the team finally gets good, our favorite weekend, Nick, is going to be Super Bowl weekend. But
that's correct.
We got a long ways to go. But one of these years, it's going to happen.
That'll be amazing.
Yeah. And we'll probably be 110. With modern technology, we'll probably still be alive. But we'll see. John, man, thank you so much for being a member. He says, if we were trading one of the first rounders, we should trade back with Seattle for the 9th, 40th, 109th, and Shane should rework Leo and Kenny Galladay's overpaid contracts. So, John, all right, and thank you for being a member, John. I'll start with the reworking of the contracts. I don't think he's going to do that. He's talked about that he does not want to backload salaries. When you talk about reworking contracts, that's what you're doing. You're pushing back money. He's further committing himself to those players. For all we know, Joe Shane does not want those 2 guys on the roster next year. And he's willing to take a certain cap hit to get rid of them. So I don't think Shane's going to do that. We'll see, but we'll see. Maybe he will. I guess nothing would shock me, but I don't think he's going to do that. As far as your proposed trade, it's not a bad one. You're getting 9, you drop back. I'm assuming you're talking about trading the 5th pick, because I would think Seattle would want to jump Carolina to take a quarterback. So you're talking about dropping from 5 to 9, get the 40 and the 109. The only issue I have with that, John, for me, I think the incentive to trade back in this draft is to get a future first-round pick. Now, of course, I'd like to get great value for this draft too, but for me, it's about setting myself up. One, by getting a future first-round pick, it also helps the cap situation for this year.
Right.
But 2, it gives you more of an opportunity to trade up and get a quarterback in 2023. So if the Giants trade back, if I'm Joe Shane, I'm looking for that 2023 draft capital.
So if I'm Joe Shane, and you never know, there's a lot of talk about the Steelers loving Malik Willis.
Yeah.
So if you can take 5, I forgot where Pittsburgh's picking 21, somewhere in there, 20. Yeah. So if you're moving back, if Pittsburgh wants to move up from 20 to 5 to jump in front of Carolina, now you're talking for at least 1 future first round pick. You're talking a lot of picks when you jump that, and you're definitely getting their pick for next year. So that's definitely a possibility. And somebody mentioned this, I think it was Pencil, man. When I did the live stream, one of the best comments I read was that one. And he made a good point. He said, the fact that these quarterback trades happened tells you what these teams think about this quarterback class.
Yep. I said the same thing. In a couple of my videos. And you see all these teams scrambling to get quarterbacks. Like you said, when you hear the rumors that Seattle's looking for a veteran quarterback. And of course, there might be a team or two that does like these quarterbacks. But that's my feeling on the matter too. It looks like a lot of
Pittsburgh likes Malik Willis, as far as I know. But Washington didn't care.
Yep.
Obviously, Indianapolis didn't want one.
No.
And who's the other one? The big one.
Denver. Cleveland,
Denver, right. Yeah. What are they going to do with Baker Mayfield?
I read a report today that Cleveland may actually keep Baker Mayfield until such time they find out how long the suspension is going to be with Deshaun Watson. But the issue there, Baker's not going to be a choir boy. He wants out of there. He's going to be. I think they're going to have to cut him if they can't trade him, because that is going to be a huge distraction going into the year. Not to mention they already signed Jacoby Brissett, who's a capable starter until such time Watson could start. So I think if they can't trade Mayfield, which I don't know if they're going to be able to, because he's due to make $18 million this year. And when you look around the league right now, I don't think there's going to be a ton of teams that are looking to add at quarterback. Like, no disrespect to Baker Mayfield, but I don't think there's going to be a ton of teams looking to add Mayfield at that price tag. They may end up cutting him. I wouldn't be surprised.
Right. Well, that's why I did the video about, like, I don't know where the hell these rumors came with him coming here. I'm like, why would the Giants do that? He's $10 million more than we don't have the money. Begin with, he's an unrestricted free agent next year, and he's not the quarterback of the future. So what the hell would the point be? Not to mention, Baker Mayfield ain't handling New York. Can you imagine him here?
That'd be a disaster.
No, he could never handle this.
So, yeah, no, Mayfield makes no sense. That was clickbait. I saw all the networks were talking about it. I think Skip Bayless.
That's why I was like, that's why I just came out with the title. It's simple. That's stupid.
It's stupid. It's not even possible with our cap situation, even if we wanted to do it.
Yeah, exactly.
Octave, man, thank you very much, man. Thanks for the consistent content, guys. Dream scenario for me in this draft is Sauce Gardner and any of the tackles. Neil. Yeah, I'm Octave. That's what I had my first mock draft. I think I had Evan Neal. This was like 3 weeks ago. I'll probably have a mock draft up this week sometime now that free agency's over. But I had Neal 5 and I had Sauce Gardner 7. And to me, that's ideal. I mean, you get your right tackle and then you get your lockdown corner, something that we're going to need if we're going to trade James Bradbury with this scheme for sure. And the guy's a freak. How many cornerbacks do you know, Bad Dog, that come around that run a 4.4 140 that are 6'3" with 33.5-inch arms?
I know. He's a freak athlete.
That doesn't come out every year.
No.
So
there's not a lot of 6'3" corners in the league.
In general, yeah. And then you factor in the arm length. I mean,
you want that because there's a lot of receivers that are taller and yeah, you want a cornerback with some speed. I mean, yeah, he is definitely a freak athlete. And like I said, at the beginning of this, before Shane made these moves, I never thought Sauce Gardner. I never considered the Bradbury move. I never even thought about that. But obviously that's a big one. And then when they got rid of Logan Ryan, I'm like, he kind of made some bigger holes, like our secondary, because I'm just assuming Bradbury's not here. Right. They could keep him. I don't know how they can, but you don't have a lot. You don't have your number one corner. You have no safety depth. So both of those guys are definitely in play. And then the tight end room's gone. There's no Rudolph. There's no Ingram, and there's no Caden Smith. You have Ricky Seals-Jones. They'll address that later in the draft. Yeah. The one thing I'm saying, the one thing that I'm looking at, and I still want linemen in the first round. I would love Icky, but the more I thought about with the secondary, I'm like, if they went Sauce Gardner and Thibodeau, or they went Sauce Gardner and Devin Lloyd, Joe Shane has a good track record of finding good linemen later in the draft.
Mm-hmm.
So it's possible that they do say, let's get Wink Martindale, his guys, and we'll address, resting on his own laurels. I can find good talent later in the draft on the line. Again, I got to trust his judgment. I don't know what the hell he's going to do. And you can't jump down his throat unless he takes a quarterback. I'm going to be pissed. I'm going to be pissed. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to be happy with the quarterback because it just doesn't make sense at this juncture.
Wide receiver, I'd flip out to in the top 7.
Yeah, wouldn't be happy about that either.
But no, I agree with you. I think he's going to go tackle with one of the 2 picks, but I wouldn't be shocked. I actually brought that up a little while ago too, where I wouldn't be shocked if they double up on defense. But that was kind of when I thought 2 of the tackles could go in the top 4. I just think BPA meets need. We need a right tackle right now, right? And we don't have one right now on this roster. And where we're picking, I think the best, or at least arguably the best available player, is going to be a tackle. So I just think it measures up. But like you said, I don't think Shane's the type of guy that's going to reach either. He has talked about positional value, which is why I don't think he's going to take Kyle Hamilton. He seems to be the type of guy that really takes that into account. So I think he's taking an edge. I think he's taking a lineman or potentially a corner. That's what I'm looking at those first 7 picks. But it's a guessing game. It's our first spin with this guy as our GM, and we'll see what he ultimately ends up deciding to do.
And that's why I don't even mention Tyler Linderbaum anymore, because of his stance on positional value. And I don't like that. personally. I would love Tyler Linderbaum at 7, but there's positional value center at 7. No, people are going to say no. You don't take a center at 7.
If we trade back, it's a possibility.
Right. Yes, exactly. So we'll see. I got to hit the head real quick. I'll be right back. I'm on this new thing here where I have to drink like 20 glasses of water a day. So yeah.
Okay.
I'll be right back.
That's healthy. That's healthy. You just got to peel it. All right, let me get to a couple of these member chat. Will, man, thank you very much, man. My man, hope you're doing well tonight. What are you thinking about taking a cornerback in the first round? I'm going to get to these super chats, by the way. Just don't want to lose the member chats. As a Giants fan, I have bad memories of first-round cornerbacks. Yeah, well, I mean, people have always brought that up to me, whether it be a cornerback, whether it be other positions that we failed at in the past. Should we take that? That does not bother me. And I know it bothers some Giants fans because they look at our track record. Aaron Ross was okay. Prince Amukamara was okay. Obviously DeAndre Baker didn't work out very well. So our first round cornerbacks, our track record it's Eli Apple, complete bust. So it hasn't been peachy. Let's put it that way. So I understand people's reluctancy, not to mention cornerback is probably the second hardest position to transition to in the NFL. A lot of times there's a learning curve at that position, the quarterback obviously being the hardest. But for me, it doesn't bother me. If you feel that guy could be a lockdown corner, to me, you could argue a lockdown corner is as valuable as any position on a defense. If he is a lockdown corner, if you could take away half the side of the field, and it's a need, especially with our scheme. So if they're high on the player, I'm not going to be upset about it. Obviously, I'm going to give him a little bit of time to adjust to the NFL because most corners don't come out and just blow it away. But it doesn't scare me as a Giants fan. It really doesn't.
Yeah, well, the other thing is about a lockdown corner. I talk about building from the inside out. He's on the line of scrimmage, so that pretty much is the inside. And a really good lockdown corner does allow a guy like Wink Martindale to bring the blitz because we all sat here last year. We all pulled our hair out. Some of us have less to pull out than others, but
too much.
Yeah, well, I have none there. But we're all sitting there going, what the hell did we give Adoree Jackson $39 million for if we're playing zone? Yeah. Why the hell are we paying our cornerbacks all this money and not letting them do their job? Why are we not blitzing? Why are we not letting those guys play man coverage? Why are you playing soft zone every damn time? So, yeah, I mean, if they decided to go with it, would make sense. It would make sense to take Sauce Gardner if they did. And again, I'm not gonna have a cow about that if they went that route.
Yeah, I'm with you. Like in an ideal world, I think most Giant fans, not all, but I think most Giant fans want to tackle and an edge. That's probably my preference too. Yep. But I definitely see the value in taking a cornerback. So I'm not gonna be upset about that. I'll be excited if they take Sauce Gardner, but I mean, my dream scenario, yeah, Kayvon Thibodeau drops to 7. Let's rock and roll.
Yeah.
Let's get Evan Neal or Ekwonu and Kayvon Thibodeau and let's rock and roll. Right. Let me read Roldy. Glad to see Roldy back in the chat, and we'll get to some of these super chats. Roldy, member for 18 months. For all we know, Shane could be playing everyone. Don't fall for the reason teams are trading for quarterbacks. Says a lot about this quarterback class. Don't be foolish, fellas. Roldy wants a quarterback. I know he does. He's been talking about taking a quarterback probably since about week 8, week 9 last year. He was on the Pickett train, if I'm not mistaken, a while ago. I don't know which quarterback his preference is now. Most people would say Malik Willis, who seems to have jumped up the draft chart. And I understand it. Willis had a really impressive pro day. Guy threw a 68-yard throw on a dime against his body. It's an impressive throw. The guy's
got an arm.
He's got an arm. Question. Questions with him. Mechanics are all over the place. The small school doesn't really bother me. I don't really care what school somebody goes to, but most people, almost everybody will tell you that he's a project. And my fear with that is, do I want to put a project into this situation? It's not like you could sit Malik Willis for a year if you draft him 5th overall. Daniel Jones with the team if you draft Malik Willis 5th overall. I suppose you could start Tyrod Taylor, but the Giants are going to be bad. It's not a situation like Kansas City where you could bench him for a full year. By week 5, week 6, he's going in. Yep. And for me, I want to build up this roster. I want to set up the next quarterback for success. That's my opinion on the matter. Maybe some people listening don't agree with me. That's fine. Everybody's entitled to their own opinions, but I just do not think this is the right draft to take a quarterback.
I completely agree because, as I've said before on this show, I went and looked at his game against Ole Miss, and he had a terrible first half. He did play better in the second half, but I looked at the comments. Well, he's got no talent around him. He's got no talent. Imagine if he had talent around. Well, Daniel Jones didn't have talent at Duke either. But I keep saying we are the liberty of the NFL. What the hell do you want to put Malik Willis in a situation where we don't know what the hell our offensive line is? Like you said, we don't have a right tackle. What the hell is our center situation? We don't have a set line.
Not to mention that the players on this team, on the offense that are currently on the team, they're almost like rookies themselves. They're learning a completely new offense. Right. So, with the new coach, I'm not. If he was like a can't miss, it wasn't labeled a project, can't miss guy.
Right.
I'm all about it.
Yeah. If he's a Herbert, if he's a Trevor Lawrence, if he's, I completely agree. But yeah, when you're picking in the top 10, it's hard to say that you can take on a project. If Pittsburgh, who is a solid team, wants to jump up and take Malik Willis, where they have a good team around him already, and they want to sit him for a year behind Trubisky, they can afford to do that.
Yeah.
Although I don't know if that'd be interesting if they decided to jump up there with Trubisky. I don't know how long.
What they'd have to give up to get
right.
To get up.
But it would make more sense for a Malik Willis to go at the back end of the first round to a better team. Maybe Atlanta. I know they picked up Marcus Mariota, but he's not the future. So maybe Atlanta wants to get. I mean, I don't know where Atlanta's picking.
They're 8. They're picking 8.
Oh well, I mean they could decide to go Malik Willis
for sure.
So
Seattle too at 9, possible.
Yep. But yeah, so it'll be interesting. So that's why the Giants really aren't in a bad spot, considering Carolina may take one, and then Atlanta and Seattle may all take quarterbacks. So if somebody really does like Malik Willis, the pro day that he had may have really helped out the Giants.
Which is only good news for us. Regardless,
that's what I'm saying. It may have really helped us out a lot.
Yeah, it's good, great news. Depressed Giants fan says, people say we have a crap future. I disagree. I think we have an undetermined future. I'm not going to jump the gun. I'm not going to act like this guy is unbelievable. I agree so far what Joe Shane, for the most part, has done, but it's obvious things to me so far. I think you have to wait a couple of years to see how the draft plays out, how these prospects play out. I've learned as a Giants fan, a Giants content creator the last few years, I am not going to jump the gun. I'm going to give this guy an opportunity. I'm not going to say he's a failure after 2 or 3. I'm going to give him at least 3 years, but I'm also not going to say he's had great success until such time he starts to prove himself. But so far, I like the plan. I like the fact he didn't backload any money. I like the fact that he's starting to get rid of some of the players that he doesn't feel are going to be long-term answers here. We have to see how they do in this draft. We have to see what their overall plan is. Do they trade back? Do they get more draft capital for next year to get the quarterback? How is their free agency period in 2023 when they have a little bit more money? So,
yeah, what the hell is our quarterback?
Yeah, but what I will say,
we got to know what our quarterback is. They know what our future is.
What I will say is our future could be very good, depending on how they do in this draft. Because next year, like we said earlier, they do have a lot of cap space. But at the end of the day, it's going to come down to the quarterback. It's going to come down to the quarterback, and it's going to come down to setting up the quarterback for success. And I think that's what this offseason is going to be about. Setting up the quarterback for success. And then if we move on from Jones, seeing if that guy could lead this team to where we need to be.
Right. When we move on from Jones, I will be shocked if they give Daniel Jones a second contract.
Yeah, I agree with you. I don't think he's getting a second contract. The most I could see him getting, which I don't think he will, would be a franchise tag. And if he had a good year, but I don't think he's getting another contract. Anthony, thank you very much, man. I know quarterback usually draws teams to trade up, but I honestly don't think it's going to happen this year. Yeah, Anthony, I honestly don't know. I mean, I'm hoping as a Giants fan, these workouts and this, all this hype that's been around Pickett and Willis the last couple of days, and you see a lot of teams that need quarterbacks, incentivizes them to move up. I don't know. It's definitely not the strongest quarterback draft class, let's put it that way. And there's not that many teams, like Baddog said earlier, that are in the market for a quarterback. There's 3, 4. Yeah. There's a lot of teams kind of shirted up. So some of these teams may feel like they don't need to necessarily trade up. But I honestly don't know, Anthony. All it takes is one of these teams being head over heels in love with one of these guys. Like, if the Atlanta Falcons think Malik Willis could be the next Michael Vick for their franchise, they're going to trade up and they're going to get him. So we'll see. I don't know. I don't have the answer for you. Bodo, man, what's going on, man? Thank you so much, man. He says, I just hope the Steelers don't get Baker.
I don't think they will.
The only way they would is if he got cut. I don't think they're going to sign him for $18 million. The trade for the Browns aren't going to trade him in division. He would have to get cut. I did read a report that said that they might potentially be interested in him, but who knows? That might just be.
Well, they just got Trubisky too. I don't know why they would.
Yeah, I don't think they will. I'd be surprised if they do. I was trying to think of teams that could potentially land Mayfield where it could make sense.
Carolina.
Yeah, Carolina could make sense, but I don't think they want to take on the $18 million salary.
Seattle.
I think Seattle makes a ton of sense as a stopgap. Get you by another year until you draft a quarterback the following year if they want to go that route. Those are probably the two most logical teams that he could potentially end up on, man. But Bodo, man, thank you so much, man. I really appreciate it. Peter says, "What's each of your hot takes for draft night?" Okay, give me your hot take. Like, what's your unexpected move on draft night?
Jesus, from us?
Maybe just in general. I mean, maybe give me a first round hot take.
Wow. First round hot take. All right. Thibodeau falls out of the top 10.
Really? So you're buying into this chatter that Thibodeau may not be in love with the game, and you're buying into that a bit.
I think the Giants could go Sauce in a lineman, and I think, and then 8 and 9, there's guys that want quarterbacks, and I'm going to say Thibodeau falls out of the top 10. That's my hot take. They're hot takes, so I mean, you really got to go.
That is a hot take because my take's not going to be that hot. That's a hot take.
Fire.
That's a fire take. I don't know. I don't even know if there's a hot take, but I am gonna. I honestly believe Malik Willis is going in the top 4. I think somebody is going to trade up into the top 4 to get Malik Willis, and I'll say the Jets. Well, yeah, I could see him going to Detroit at 2. That's another team we didn't mention that could use a quarterback potentially in the draft. I think Malik Willis is going in the top 4, and I think somebody will trade up. I'm going to say the Jets spot to go up and get him. That's my prediction. That's my hot take. I think Malik Willis will go 4th overall. I'll say to the Atlanta Falcons. I think they trade up from 8 to 4.
Yeah, why not?
Which would be great for us because that means a lineman drops or
that would be great for us, indeed.
John, man, thank you very much, man. Did you guys see Joe Shane chatting up his future quarterback at Ohio State's Pro Day? I did. Mr. CJ Stroud was he's obviously not draft eligible this year. He's draft eligible in 2023, but that was the main talk at the Pro Day. Even though they got some great prospects, I mean, they have arguably the 2 best wide receivers in this draft class.
Yeah,
but
stay away.
You don't like
Ohio State feeling on Ohio State quarterbacks.
Yeah, I like Stroud. I know you don't like Ohio State quarterbacks, but from what I've seen, I've been watching a good amount of Stroud the last couple of weeks. I think he's really good, but
I mean, Haskins is really good there, and Terrell Pryor, and Cardale Jones, and Justin Fields, and the list goes on and on and on and on and on.
I know, I understand it.
Oh, thanks.
But that was like the big storyline was they showed pictures of Joe Shane talking to Stroud on the sideline, and right now, and it's way too early, these
you never know. There's always someone that jumps up. Then you got the pro days and the combines, and someone gets hurt, and someone's stock goes way up. It's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah,
I mean, Bryce Young.
Yeah, who knows? Maybe Young, maybe Anthony Richardson.
I mean, look at it this year. You went into the year in college saying Spencer Rattler and Sam Howell, Heisman favorites. Both of them were terrible.
Yeah, you don't know. Burrow's a perfect example. Mayfield's a perfect example. Mayfield
was always
he was.
That's just like a lot of people.
His draft spot was a shock. Well, but you're right. He did have a good year the year before. But Burrow kind of Pickett, another guy. Nobody was on anybody's radar this year. So we'll see. But I'm impressed with Stroud. I am not going to let the Ohio State thing scare me away. But
it scares me.
It's
Ohio State, USC, Ohio State, USC, Florida. Don't touch.
You don't want them.
No, not until something else changes.
I understand. There's a lot of fans that say that. There's a lot of fans.
I said Sam Darnold stinks. He stinks. I said Dwayne Haskins was going to be worse than Daniel Jones. He is. How bad is that? He stinks. Yeah, USC, Ohio State, no. Florida, no.
Yeah, Florida hasn't had any. I'm trying to think.
You win the Heisman every year, and then they get into the NFL. Terrible.
Yeah, Tebow.
Danny Werfel.
Yeah. It's Virus, man. Thank you very much. He says, I've been watching for close to 4 years. Love every stream, especially the game streams. Feels like I'm watching with family every game. Love you. Thank you so much, man.
Thank you, buddy.
Really looking forward to doing the game streams. And yeah, like I said at the top of the stream, I took some time off from going live. Had nothing to do with how bad the Knicks are. I just wanted to take time off YouTube. So I will definitely be doing more Knicks games next year, and I'll probably do a couple of Mets games. I'll do opening day, I'm sure. So always love doing the live games, especially the Giants. So looking forward to doing that with you guys.
The Giants are fun because when they're terrible, at least we all have each other to cry on each other's shoulders and how piss poor. And even at the end of the year, it was so bad it got to be funny. I mean, it really did. It was so bad. Yeah, I mean, I put some of my best rants together in a video, and the toilet paper playbook, just your reaction to that. I mean, we don't even know. It's just, yeah. I was like, that was pretty fun.
I gotta watch that video. I haven't watched that.
Oh, yeah, people like that. They're like, that had me dead. The toilet paper playbook. That was a good.
Dharma, man, thank you very much. Address the line, period. Sauce would be cool too. I'm with you, and I've talked about this scenario, and I don't know if this could happen because of the cap situation. Because, like I said, we're due like $19 million against the cap with the draft picks that we're bringing in. Maybe only 16 when you factor in the 51, but still a lot of money. So I don't know if they'd look to trade up in the back end of the first round because you'd be paying a little bit more money than you would at 36. But one idea I've talked about is the possibility, because we all know they're looking to trade Bradbury, taking the 36 pick, moving up to 29. Chiefs got picks at 29 and 30. They could use a cornerback. So maybe something like that makes sense. You move up, you get a guy like Zion Johnson, an interior guard, right? Or a Linderbaum if he fell that far, or Kenyon Green. I think something like that could make sense. I've talked about, but because of the salary cap problems, maybe it wouldn't make the most financial sense. But I'm with you, man. In a perfect world, Dharma, for me, Giants come out of the first 3 picks, getting either an edge rusher or a corner and an interior lineman and a tackle. That's an ideal world for me. Now, of course, if a player drops that you can't pass up on, you take him. Right. Especially in the second round, regardless. But ideally, out of this draft, I think the Giants have to find 2 starters on the line. One at the guard or center spot, and one at the right tackle. So
let me ask you this. Obviously, Ajabo tore his Achilles. So
yeah.
If he falls to 36, you take a shot at him?
A lot of people have asked me that. I don't think he's getting past the second round. If I had to guess, I don't think he would get to the third round. Depends how high you are on the prospect. And I know Ajabo, was very highly thought of by some Giants fans before that injury. And I think by all accounts, he was having a really good pro day too, from what people told me before the injury. If you feel he could be an elite edge rusher, I wouldn't be upset if they did it. You sit him for a year, obviously. And then he comes back, he starts the next year. I think it all depends on who's there, who's available. I would probably prefer not to, because I want to have guys that can make immediate impacts and start growing his football
right.
this year. But if they do that, if they feel he could be a top 3 edge rusher in this class when he gets healthy, maybe do take a shot.
What if they took their 2/3 and moved up into the back end of the second and took them there?
It's another possibility. And maybe we get another pick with trading Bradbury as well. So
right.
It's a possibility. Definitely a guy we're going to.
Because I think of Miles Jack. Like Miles Jack was going to be like a top 10 guy, and he had the serious injury, and he fell to the second round. So I'm kind of thinking of the same thing with, of course, Jack's was like a knee. It was a knee. I don't think the Achilles is ever as serious as a knee problem. But I just thought that was interesting because obviously he was going to go top 15. I would imagine.
Yeah, he was going to go. Going off at 7.
Yeah, so he's going to fall now, and I was just curious if you would do that. Beakway is the other one that I hear at 36 a lot from Penn State. So.
Yes, yep. I've seen.
I hear a lot about him too. And like that's why I love the draft. You never know. We got a lot of good picks this year. It's going to be a lot of fun. And Bad Dog always. I'll be taking that. Well, I'm on vacation that week, so I don't have to take the Friday off, and then we drink a few pints.
There you go.
Can't do all right. Since I really don't drink anymore, I'll take 2 pints and I'll be loopy and it'll be funny.
There we go.
We'll drink 4. Ready?
Yeah. Brandon, he says, quick point. I think we lost track of Aaron Robinson because he's a Gettleman guy. Don't sleep. He's good, I think. I'm curious what Shane thinks of him. I haven't forgotten about him. I've seen some Giants fans bring up the fact of putting Aaron Robinson on the outside. I don't think that's going to happen. He was a slot cornerback in college. We drafted him to be a slot cornerback. So that's where I think he's going to play. But I haven't forgot about him. I liked him when we drafted him. He's a very physical player. Yeah, I like him. I thought he played relatively well as the season progressed last year. I think he stands a really good chance to be our starting slot cornerback at the start of the year, Brandon. But I don't think he'll be on the outside. But I haven't forgotten about him. He's still on a very cost-effective contract. He'll be here for the next couple of years, and hopefully he can continue to progress as a player. But most people had a second-round grade on him last year, so he's a talented player.
Yep. Yeah, he was. And I did like his energy. I thought he played well. He's physical. He's big. So, yeah. But again, like Chris said, he's not an outside corner. And like Chris also said, Bradbury's probably not going to be here this year. And then there's possibility Dory Jackson's not here next year. So then you're going to have to fill two on the outside. So we'll see. But
maybe one with free agency next year.
Right. I mean, they could definitely afford it next year.
Yeah. But yeah, I think they're definitely taking a corner though in this draft.
But sure. I mean, the more I was not on board with Sauce, but I think about Bradbury leaving. I'm like, you know what? It makes sense. So if they went that route, I'd probably be happy if they take Sauce.
And you like the corners?
I do. I'm a secondary guy. I am definitely a secondary guy. So they took Sauce. I'd be okay with that as long as they went line
at 5, line at 5, Sauce at 7.
You know, whether it's an edge rush or a lineman. Because again, Joe Shane could say, I know I can find talent later in the draft for linemen, and I'm going to get Wink as guys. It's going to be fun. We got 2 top 10 picks, and the possibility of trading, and
there's so many. I definitely think we're going to look to trade down. I don't know if it's going to happen, but I definitely think we're going to be looking to trade down.
Yeah.
Bill, man, thank you very much, man. Let's face it. The only way we dig ourselves out of the Getty hell quickly is if Joe finds talent in the later rounds. Yeah, and yes, I mean, that's any team. I mean, that's what the best teams do. That's how you build depth. That's how you build, strength on a roster. Not any, but most GMs could find talent in the first round. It's about finding those guys on those cost-effective salaries in the 3rd, 4th, 5th round, those hidden gems that could help your football team. So 100%.
That's where they make the money. To me, a GM makes his money 3rd through 6th round of the draft.
Yeah.
That's where they make their money. That's where they got to find the guys, like you said, that are kind of diamonds in the rough, they're raw talent, or they just find something of these guys and they come in there and they produce. Like Ahmad Bradshaw did. He was a 7th round pick, or Victor Cruz is an undrafted free agent. Right. Justin Tuck. You get some of those guys that are later rounds and they end up being really good for you. So
Victor Cruz, undrafted.
Victor Cruz.
So many. I mean, Brandon Jacobs, 4th round.
Jacobs, right?
You know,
Tiki Barber was a 2nd rounder.
Second round. Osu Minor was a 2nd round. So that's where you make your money. Luca, man, thank you very much, man. Love Sauce, but something about the 1st round cornerbacks scare me. I could see both picks being traded back for 3+ 1st rounds next year. Trade back mid for interior offensive linemen and defense. I mean, Luca, here's what I'll say. I don't think that that's impossible. I just don't think it's likely because I don't think there's going to be 2 teams. I think you'll be lucky enough if you're able to find 1 team that's willing to trade up to give up a future 1st round pick. I don't think you're going to be able to find 2. It's not like this draft class is plentiful with great quarterback prospects. Maybe they'd be able to do that. I don't think so, though. I would be very surprised if the New York Giants were able to find 2 trade partners that were willing to give up a future 1st round draft pick. But for me, if the Giants can find a way to stay in the top 10 and still get a future 1st round pick, that's a home run for me this year.
Yep, agreed.
For sure. And especially if it's the Falcons. Because I look at the Falcons, Baddog, they're going to suck. They're not going to be good. So that's going to be a pretty good pick, especially if they trade up for a rookie quarterback. So for me, that would be ideal. I don't know if you'd be able to get a 1st round pick though, because they're only dropping from 5 to 8. But if you're able to,
and they know they're going to suck, so they probably don't want to give up that.
Yeah, but if you're able to maneuver that, man, that to me is a win. But Luca, man, thank you so much, man. I appreciate it. Rainbow Clips, man, thank you so much for the 99-cent donation. Appreciate it, my man. And let's make sure we catch up with all these. Thank you to everybody for being here. Appreciate it. Octave says over under Daniel Jones plays 12 games. At least the backup isn't Glennon this time. It's a great question. Here's what I'll say. If he doesn't get hurt, I'm going to say over. I don't think he's going to get pulled unless he's playing absolutely dreadful. And I think that they're going to be a little bit lenient at the beginning of the year. Maybe some people watching this, I know what Thenix in here, he doesn't want to hear that. but I do think they're going to be a little bit lenient the first 4 or 5 games because he's learning a new scheme. I don't think they're going to expect him to come out guns a-blazing. He will get pulled eventually if he's playing really bad. Don't get me wrong. But if Jones stays healthy, I'd go with the over. But what I'm going to tell you, Bad Dog, conventional wisdom tells us that he won't stay healthy.
Right.
Which is why the Giants invested as much as they did in the backup quarterback. So if I was betting on it, I'd probably lean the under. I mean, just based off of Jones's track record. I hate saying that. I'm not, I hope he stays completely healthy, plays 17 games this year, and he bowls out. But I would probably lean the under.
I would also lean the under. It seems like he has a different injury every time. It's an ankle. It's a hamstring. It's a neck. It's a concussion. So it's not like it's just one thing with him. He's had a lot of issues. Our offensive line still isn't going to be great. I still don't think Daniel Jones has any kind of pocket awareness. I just don't think the pocket awareness is something you teach. I don't think he knows how to climb the pocket. I think he has to learn how to slide or run out of bounds. That's something that's really gets him hurt, is him taking off and not knowing to get down or get out of bounds. If he ever learned how to do that, and again, this is his 4th year, so instincts are going to do what they tell you to do. When we did the Dallas game, Chris, the first time he did that, I said he's going to get hurt, keep leaning his head. And the next time he did it, he had a concussion. So it is, 12 games is a good.
I think that's a good number
because
the Vegas line would be
6 games. I know him as 6, but then again, if the Giants are, that's tough. It's a tough question. Yeah, I mean, to miss 6 games, you sound like something pretty serious. He hasn't had anything really serious until this neck thing. It's kind of a nagging, or he's missed a couple of games. 12 is a good number. Might be right on 12.
Bad Dog's got 12.
12
Irishman, thank you for being a member for 6 months. Actually, I took a picture of it. I just lost it, but I'm going to get you right now, and then we're going to get to a couple more of these, man. Irishman, thank you for being a member for 6 months. He says, hey, guys, just wanted to say hi. Looking forward to this draft and how our GM and head coach will take us. How about St. Peter's going to the Elite 8? Yeah, first off, Irishman, thank you so much for popping in. And that's going to be the storyline this year is the new head coach, the GM, the draft, everything else, how they start to build this football team. But, yeah, the St. Peter's, I was tweeting about it live. Unbelievable. First 15 seed to ever advance to the Elite 8 from New Jersey. I had no idea. They only have about 2,500 kids enrolled in the entire school. And now they've knocked off the Kentucky Wildcats. They knocked off the Murray State Racers. And tonight they knock off Purdue, who has arguably the best player in the country in Jaden Ivey. And unbelievable, the St. Peter's team. And now they're going to go up against another powerhouse because they play the winner of UCLA and North Carolina, who's red hot. So what a story, man. What a story.
That's pretty insane. Nobody has St. Peter's going to the Elite 8. I can tell you that.
No, unless you go to St. Peter's. Elite 8. They were an 18.5 point underdog to Kentucky first round.
Well, some people have them beating Kentucky, but no one. I think unless you're a St. Peter's alum, no one had them going this far.
No way.
Nobody outside of St. Peter's or connections to St. Peter's had St. Peter's in the Elite 8. I'm going to go out on a limb and say
incredible.
That's why this tournament's so much fun.
And I'm going to tell you what, Bad Dog, maybe a lot of people disagree with me in the chat, and I love the Knicks. I like college basketball better than the NBA because in college basketball, they play defense, and St. Peter's plays it very well.
Oh, listen, Kentucky, he said it. Calipari said it right away. I think they were down 21-17. He said they play. He goes, every time we drive to the paint, they're there. He goes, they play really tough defense, and they're good. He knew that was going to be a tough game. And after the first time out, there was 15:50 to go or whatever it was in the first quarter, or the first half, rather, when he said that. It's kind of like me with college football. I don't know. I seem to gravitate towards the college football overall. Like, obviously, the Giants are my number one. There's no doubt about that. But, like, broad college football over broad NFL football for me. I don't know. I like the way the game is played better. With the other thing with college, they actually call it travels. They don't call that.
And you don't get that continuation. They never give the continuation foul either.
No,
in the NBA when they give you get an M1 if you get hit, and then you take 6 steps and you get the.
It depends on the player. Like James Harden, you don't even need a foul, and he could take 4 steps and chuck the ball up. Yep, 3 free throws.
Yeah,
some guys. Giannis takes 4 steps every time he tries to basket.
Well, let's get back to the Giants. Lou, man, thank you very much. Says, I may be in the minority, and no one will remember I said this, but Desmond Ridder will be the most successful quarterback of this class. I hope the Steelers draft him. Lou, man, first off, thank you for being here. Thank you for being such a great supporter of the channel. I don't think you're in the minority. Well, you're in the minority. I think most people would say Willis for sure, but there are people that you're not the only person I've heard say that. There are people that like Ridder, and Ridder had a fantastic combine. And apparently had a pretty good pro day. Most people have him penciled to go to the second round. Could see him going in the first for sure. The Steelers could be a team that could take him if they don't trade up. So we'll see. Had a really good career at Cincinnati. He's got some mobility. He's got a decent arm. So we'll see where he ends up, Lou. Anthony, I'm going to tell you the guy I like, and I don't love any quarterback in this class, but out after Willis, I like Corral. I like Corral. I wouldn't take him in the first round, but I like Corral. And I said that like a couple of months ago when I started looking at these quarterbacks a little bit. And then I saw Sim say that too, who I think does a fantastic job at analyzing these quarterbacks. I think Corral's got a pretty underrated arm. When I watched him a couple months ago when I started watching him. Anthony says, we won't finish worse than the Falcons, Seahawks, Colts, Lions, and possibly the Steelers. We won't be bad enough to get a quarterback next year. We don't know. Don't ever say. First off, we're going to be worse than the Colts. We are going to be worse than the Colts. I'll tell you that right now, Anthony.
The Colts got Matt Ryan. They're going to be fine.
We are going to be worse than the Colts.
We'll be worse than the Seahawks probably too.
I don't know about
the Steelers. Definitely, we'll be worse than the Steelers.
Steelers still have a defense.
Lions probably won't be worse than them, and Falcons probably won't be worse than them.
But the Falcons probably, I think, are going to take a quarterback
we'll
this year. I'm leaning they're going to take Willis, but we'll see. But Anthony, you're probably right. I don't think we're going to get the first pick. And
I don't think we will.
Yeah, but listen. You don't take a quarterback just to take one. That's my opinion on the matter. And the other thing I'll say is if you're in love with a quarterback, you do whatever you have to. And maybe you won't be able to do it. Maybe the team picking first, maybe there's only one quarterback you love, and the team picking first is going to take him. I can't predict the future. I don't know what the draft order is going to be. Joe Shane can't predict the future. But if you have the opportunity, if you love a quarterback and you're ready to bring him in, you do whatever you have to do to trade up and get that quarterback. We've seen several teams do it. Kansas City Chiefs did it with Pat Mahomes, 27-10, huge jump. If you have an opportunity, third, fourth, fifth overall pick, and you got to jump from 10, you do what you got to do to go up and get that guy. So we'll see.
Look at what the Eagles gave up to get Carson Wentz.
Yeah. So we'll see, man. We'll see next year. It's something we'll worry about next year if we don't take a quarterback this year. Let's see. We got Anthony, man. Thank you very much. He says, Giants might go heavy one line over the other. Would you be upset if it was D over the O? Well, Baddog wouldn't. He said that already. In terms of, I think he still wants them to address the line. But
definitely, yes.
Yeah, early in the draft, you wouldn't be opposed to them.
No, if they, like I said, if they went Thibodeau sauce or Lloyd sauce or Lloyd Thibodeau, I'm not going to throw a fit about it. Because again, more so because of Joe Shane's track record of finding good line talent later in the draft. I'm believing in what he was able to do at Buffalo because I don't believe any of those linemen were first round picks. So that's more of a belief in what the GM can do here. Also, I think Brandon Brown did an amazing job in Philadelphia with their offensive line.
What about Brandon Brown? Yeah.
So again,
that was a good pickup, Brandon Brown.
I loved it. I loved that pickup. I thought that was great. That was a very underrated move by the New York Giants because you look at what they did in Philadelphia, how quick they turned that around. And makes me sick. Like I throw up in my mouth a little bit when I say this, but I think the Eagles are winning the division this year.
I do too.
Dallas took a massive step back. Washington's going to suck, as they always do. They might be better than us, but they're still going to be terrible. And the Eagles have 3 first-round picks. And they got Hassan Reddick, who I thought was a great signing. They need a wide receiver still. Philly 500 making the same video 50 times about Devontae Parker. I asked him, I said, what, you turned into Mark Holmes? You making a video every 30 minutes about the same thing? This is what Mark Holmes does. And then I did the video today. He's like, Sauce guarded. Sauce ain't falling all the way down there.
Oh, I think 15. Sauce is going to the Jets, I think, at 4.
He ain't getting a 15. These Eagle contact grade 420 all day, every day over there. But no, if I got to believe in what they do, At first, I was like, I want offensive line, 2 offensive linemen. But the more I thought about it, like I said, Brandon Brown, Joe Shane, their track record. If they decide to go 2 defenders, I'm going to put my belief in that they're going to find good talent, second round and later with the offensive line. But if they go 2 offensive linemen in the first round, it ain't going to hurt my feelings either.
No. And here's what I'll say. Like you said, it's a new regime, it's a new GM. Joe Shane has said from the start, I was very happy, smiled ear to ear when I heard it. He said the offensive line is the primary problem on this football team. So far in free agency, he's made it a point to work on it. Now, whether it be to get starters or to get depth players, and it's clearly obvious it's far from done. Like I said, we still don't have a right tackle. We really only have 1 starting guard right now. So I do think he's going to continue to address it in the draft. But just because I may feel one way, I think they should take a tackle at 5. There's multiple ways to build a football team. If the way they analyze the draft board is we got to get 2 defensive studs that could, take our defense to the next level, and we feel like we could get really good value in the second round if they analyze these tackle prospects or the guard, whatever they want to do. I just hope it works out, and I hope that they analyze it properly. But I do think that Joe Shane realizes how important the offensive line is, how much it needs to be improved for this football team. And I still do think we will be taking a lineman with one of those 2 picks. But
yeah, I'll be shocked if they don't, to be honest with you.
Yeah, but if they
I think it'll be one. I think it'll be 1 on each side of the football. That's really what I think they're going to do. Now, will that be Thibodeau? Will it be Sauce? Will it be Icky? Will it be Cross? You see how I did that? Authentic. How about those bars? You like that?
Sauce and Cross.
Right. I still will be Thibodeau. Will be Sauce. Will be Icky. Will be Cross. So, yeah. But no, I don't. I could definitely see that happening. 1 on each side of the ball for sure.
We'll see. Let me just get this member chat and then, new member. Trace, man, thank you so much, man. Stand up, new member. Welcome to the squad, man. Nick DeWick says Nick scored 35 in the 4th to come back and win. Oh, man. Yeah, I've been watching the Knicks, not every game because it's gotten to the point where it's damn near meaningless. I like that RJ Barrett has gotten much better over the second half.
Well, listen, Jimmy Butler gave RJ Barrett tons of credit. Says he's the future face of the Knicks, which RJ Barrett's had a very good season. But yeah, the Knicks are pretty much done. They come into the night 5 games behind the Hawks with 9 to play.
But nice to see they got to win.
Especially against Miami, who's regarded as the best team in the East.
Yeah. They've played much better down the stretch, which makes you say, well, why couldn't Julius Randle do this at the beginning of the year? Why couldn't,
why couldn't they hang on to all the big leads that they had?
Yeah.
Yeah, they blew a bunch of 20-point leads. No. It's insane. A lot of big leads.
Tudo, he says, salute, fellas. Drop by your office to put the prescription as the doctors ordered and pay our proper respects. What's going on, Tudo, man? Glad to see you, buddy, man. How you doing?
Tudo's jacked.
He's freaking
Tuto's
Bill, man, he says, my hot take on the channels. Tana randomly disappears for a few weeks in 2022 and Dog's bladder explodes during the draft.
Nah, we're good because I have no problem going to the bathroom when I gotta go. But yes, with 4 pints of beer, there will be many trips to the latrine. Probably.
I will definitely. I won't. Last year I took a big break before football season in like May and July. I probably won't do that this year, even though it's not gonna be a ton to talk about. But I'll do videos here and there. I took my break earlier this year because I knew it was gonna be a slower off season after we got our GM and head coach. But Bill, man, thank you very much, man. I appreciate it. And Jeff says, "Let's go, Knicks." Great win in Miami. Hey, anytime you beat Miami in Miami, it's good win. I still think that's our biggest rival. Even though, well, it's Brooklyn now, but historically speaking, I still think it's Miami. So good to hear that the Knicks got a win, man. Jeff, thank you so much, man. I appreciate it. Bodo says, just because I love listening to you guys together, keep up the great work, man.
Bodo!
Thank you so much, man. We'll be on Bad Dogs next week. So thank you so much, Bodo, man. And probably we'll do what we did last year, probably the week leading up, and do a mock draft.
Yeah.
We'll simulate. So the Eagles, by the way, Bad Dog, the Eagles have the 15th, 16th, and 19th pick in the first round. When we do our mock, where do we take the punter, kicker, and long snapper?
The long snapper. Well, they probably trade all 3 of them to move up to like 10 to get the long snapper.
They're going to trade all 3 to move up to get the best long snapper.
Yeah, we got to get rid of all their picks. Maybe we even trade back all 3 of their picks. Then trade back into the second round to get the long snapper.
I think that's a good idea. I think that's a good idea. And Pandemonium, he says, trading back with Pitt there, family. Yeah, I mean, let's talk about that. Because that is obviously the potential trade partner that would get you the most. The Pittsburgh Steelers at 20th overall. Would you be willing to take that big of a drop? Because it seems like a lot of Giants fans are. Some would, some wouldn't.
From 5th to 20, I would, because we'd still have 7. Pittsburgh obviously isn't taking one of our guys at 5 because they would take the quarterback. And that is at least, I would imagine, 2 future first, or Pittsburgh's, half their draft this year and their first next. I would imagine we would get 20, their second pick, and then next year's first and next year's second, or next year's first and next year's third. We would get a haul for that. And we would still have a top 10 pick. And then again, at 20, maybe Tyler Linderbaum falls down to 20, and you can get a guy like that at 20, and you can really address your offensive line that way. I wouldn't have a problem with that. Obviously, depending on, you need return value for it. So think about Gettleman last year. We got their first. We got their first this year. We got their third this year, right? And was it their third last year? Was it 2 firsts and was it a first, third, and fourth from the Bears?
Well, we made a second trade, and then we traded up.
We traded up, right?
To get
That's right. We traded back in the second round and got Ojulari.
Yeah, we got Ojulari, and then
I know we got a first, a third from the Bears.
That's what I think we got, a first and a third for the Bears.
I thought we got another one. I thought we got a 4th round pick or something this year from the Bears. I thought we ended up with 4.
I think we got the extra pick. I could be wrong. I think we got the extra pick from the Ojulari trade for this year.
I thought we got their 20th, their pick.
Let me look. I'll tell you right now what we got.
I thought we got their 20th pick last year. We get their first this year. I thought we got a 3rd from them last year, maybe a 4th this year. Maybe that's what it is. It's something. I thought we got an extra pick, but that was moving up 9 spots. We got all that. So if Pittsburgh wanted to move from 20 to 5.
Yep. You're right. They got 5th round.
Okay.
20th pick, the 5th, and the the 20th pick and a 5th round pick this year, and a 1st and 4th round pick in 2021.
Okay.
So
we would have to do better than that for them to move to 5. So maybe there is a second rounder in there at some point. So I wouldn't be adverse to trading back to 20, getting Pittsburgh's first next year, and then, like I said, maybe a second and a third or something. So,
I would personally. I think I want 2 first if we do that. 2
Yeah, I mean, I would. I just don't know if you can get that, but yeah, obviously you'd be asking for that with 2 firsts.
I would
2 future firsts.
I better be getting close to that if I'm dropping that far back.
Yeah.
Pandemonium says trading back with. Oh, we just read that. Brandon says, and I hear there's an echo. Hopefully that goes away soon. It usually does. Brandon says Peppers back, team friendly deal. Still like him. Yeah, Brandon. I actually said that on Patricia Traina's channel, like right after the season when she had me on. I said that I wouldn't be shocked if he comes back on a team friendly deal because he's coming off the injury. And does he come back on a 1-year prove it deal? He's from the New Jersey area. He's rehabbing here. So far, there hasn't been any interest that I've heard of. Will Hernandez, I think, is drawing some interest. I read that. I forgot what team it is, but he went in for a workout or whatever. But yeah, I think it's possible Peppers is back, especially if there's no market. He might come back on a 1-year deal, and we'll see. I mean, I think it makes sense for the Giants if he's willing to come back on a really cheap deal, because if he plays well, maybe get a comp pick for him. Probably won't, because we'll probably be spending money next year. But regardless, if he's willing to come back on a 1-year prove it deal to try to help his value for next season, I see no problem with that.
Yeah, me neither. If it's 1 year, whatever, $7 million or whatever the hell it is.
I don't think we have that. The problem is I don't think we got money like that.
No,
it'd have to be really cheap, and he probably won't be back. Because right now we're signing minimum contracts. Like, you got to think he'd be able to get more than that. Like, he'd have to take a really big discount to stay here. And King Jaw says, how do you guys feel about the talk Baker coming to New York? Yeah, we talked about that earlier, King Jaw. Not happening.
I did a whole video on it.
Yeah, you did.
I thought it was stupid. I know where the rumors came from. Baker doesn't. We can't afford him. He's $10 million more than Daniel Jones, and we don't have $10 million to spend. So
there's so many reasons you could say why it's a silly idea.
He wouldn't fit New York. And Baker's personality don't mix here. He's a free agent next year. He's not our future.
Yeah,
I don't know why you would trade unless you could move Jones and Bradbury and get Baker and a pick or something. I mean, then maybe you consider it, just because you're kind of trading salaries and maybe you're saving a little bit. And if they throw in a pick or something, maybe. I don't know. Baker here
Let's
doesn't
go over
make
it real quick. 1, Mayfield's horrible for New York, like you said.
Oh, terrible.
2, it's impossible to trade for him even if we wanted to because of his salary. He makes $18 million. We have no cap space.
Well, that's what I'm saying. If they move Jones and Bradbury,
they finagle things, whatever.
Break it, you
but
kind of.
Baker Mayfield's not the type of quarterback I'm trading for. I'm not giving up draft capital. And in your scenario, but let's take that scenario out of it. I'm not giving up any relevant draft capital for a quarterback like Baker Mayfield. The New York Giants are not a team next year that's going to be competing for a championship. Why am I giving up any draft capital for a guy that's going to be a one-year stopgap if we bring him in? Let's be honest. We're not signing Baker Mayfield to a contract.
Hell no.
So it makes no sense. The people that we're talking about on ESPN, it's clickbait. There's not a whole lot to talk about right now. They knew New York's a big market. It's going to get people talking, and Baker Mayfield's a popular name. It would never happen. It will never happen. And it makes no sense. So
doesn't make any sense.
See you.
Makes no sense.
Let's go. Anthony, man, thank you very much. He says, trade back both picks for more, and more. It just makes sense in more ways than one. Again, in an ideal world, like when you do these mock draft simulations on PFF, PFN, but in real life, I don't think we're going to be able to do it. I really don't. I don't think we're going to be able to. I hope we can, but I don't think we're going to be able to trade back both.
Yeah, maybe one. I don't know about both. Would be really tough.
Like we talk about how thin of how few teams need a quarterback and how the quarterback class is perceived to begin with. Like, I just don't see it. I would in an ideal world, if we could trade back to say, I don't know, like how some people do in these simulators 9 and 12 and get 2 first round picks. Sure.
Yep.
It's not going to happen. Let's see what we got. Octave says, Hamilton ain't the move, in my opinion. Great talent, but our roster needs premium position upgrades. First, O-line, D-line, corner, linebacker. You're speaking my language, my man.
Yeah, agree.
You're speaking my language. And I know Hamilton's a really special player, and he's definitely not the type of player where I'm going to flip out. You're not going to see me flip out if we take him, especially if we take a lineman at 5 and, you take Hamilton at 7. But I'm with you. I like you said, I think there's much more important positions that we need to address on this football team. And it's not like we don't have a good young safety to begin with Xavier McKinney. Yeah, if you add him, our secondary is going to be ridiculous if you add him. I understand people that want him. And if they take him, I'm not saying it's a bad pick, but I'm with Octave. I would rather address the lines, O-line, D-line, lockdown corner. That's what I'm looking at in those first 7 picks.
Yep, line of scrimmage. You're looking at the line of scrimmage.
That's what I want. So we're in agreement, Octave. Let's see what we got. There we got the ba-ba-ba's back, Baddog.
Ba-ba-ba.
Let's see. Brandon, he says, minority here, but I'm opposed to trading back. Use the capital and trust our new talent evaluators. We'll never smell a 5 and 7 again. I hope you're right, Brandon, but recent history would tell you we will smell a 5 and 7 again. We've been smelling 5 and 7 over the last 4 years, pretty much,
yes.
Whatever it's been. So I hope you're right. I hope we're never picking top 5 or top 7 ever again.
No, last year we picked 11th.
Yeah, that was the lowest we've been picking.
We had a big year. We were 6 and 10.
So I hope you're right, Brandon. And listen, Brandon, what I will say is it depends on, one, the offer. You always listen. I don't care how high you feel about these prospects. You always listen to potential trade offers. If a team knocks your socks off, you have to entertain it. But for me, it comes down to who's available and how you evaluate these players, how high. Like, let's say Jermaine Johnson. That's been a popular name. So let's say Joe Shane views Jermaine Johnson and Kayvon Thibodeau pretty equally. And he says to himself, well, if I drop down to 9, I could still get one of them. It depends on how they evaluate these prospects. But as we learned last year, Baddog, it's not always rainbows and butterflies when you trade down. The Giants finally did what everybody wanted them to do. And then after the year, everybody said, we could have had Micah Parsons. We could have had Rashawn Slater. And instead we ended up with Kadarius Toney. No disrespect. Could be a good receiver. Very good receiver potentially. But the guy was hurt all year. We'll see if he develops into anything. And the 7th overall pick, and we'll see what we get there. But I think most Giant fans, if they're being completely honest with themselves right now, if I would have given the option at Kadarius Toney and an unknown at 7th overall, or a known commodity with Micah Parsons or Rashawn Slater, who was a near all-pro lineman in his rookie year, you're probably going with the known commodity. So it's not always rainbows and butterflies. So the trade has to make sense, and you have to evaluate the prospects properly.
Well, you agree. Now, here's a question for you. What do they do with Barkley? What is the deal with Saquon? Because there's a lot of speculation out there, a lot of rumor, a lot of articles or whatever. The Giants love James Cook. So that's a possibility that they take James Cook later in the draft and perhaps he replaces Saquon Barkley. Or do you think I'm going to say, I think you mentioned this before, they start the year with Saquon Barkley, and when they fall out of it, then they could possibly trade him at that point.
If he's playing well, yeah, if there's a market for him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do think they're going to be open to trading Saquon Barkley if there's a market for him. I've talked about people that have asked me, do you think they'll trade Barkley before the year? If there's a market, yeah. I just don't think there's going to be a market.
Yeah.
You have to take your fan glasses off and you have to say to yourself, well, who's raising their hand to trade for a running back that has not performed like an elite running back since 2018? 2019, right. The last 2-3 games, sure. But outside of that, he didn't. And 2020 was hurt all year. And last year, he was still recovering from the injury. So,
and then he got hurt again.
So I don't think there's much of a market for a guy that's going to be he's already making $7 million, which is a good amount for a running back. I know maybe not for a running back the caliber potentially of a guy like Saquon Barkley, but it's still a good amount of money. And he's going to be a free agent next year. So I don't think there's a market. So I've always gone into this season with the thought process of, well, I'd rather him come back, hope that we improve the line, hope with the better offense, he performs very well. And if the Giants are 2-6 and they're completely out of it, but Barkley's playing well, maybe a team like Buffalo trying to compete for a Super Bowl, they could use another weapon. Maybe a team like Kansas City, they just lost Tyreek Hill. Maybe they view a guy, imagine Saquon Barkley with Andy Reid. So, right. That's the way I look at it. Maybe you do get, say, a second-round pick if he's playing really well. Crazy things happen. Mohamed Sanu got a second-round pick. I say it all the time. So that's my outlook on it. I bring him back and hope he takes a big step this year, and we'll see. Pandemonium. He says, can we get an OBJ reunion? Anything's possible. It's not going to happen this year.
No. I've always had the feeling he was going to be a Giant again. So I've always had that feeling he was going to be back here.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Anything's
possible.
I
think he loves Los Angeles. I think he would like to stay out there. I think he loves LA.
He just won a Super Bowl. I would too.
Yep. Well, he likes it anyway, but yeah, I think he likes.
He's got Sean McVay, man. If you're OBJ and you want to win, and you want to potentially up your probability of making the Hall of Fame, you probably should stay where you are. I don't think you could get in a much better situation than he currently is. So We'll see. Jason, he says, what tight end is on your mind for the draft? All right. So the one thing I'll say about the tight end class this year, it is not top heavy. Okay. In more recent drafts, like last year, Kyle Pitts was the 3rd overall pick. Most people
was another one. He was another good.
Yeah. Hockenson. Like in most drafts, typically you have at least 1 or 2 tight ends that are projected to go in the first round. You don't have it this year, but this is supposed to be one of the deepest tight end classes in a long time. You have a lot of very good tight ends in this draft class, and I think the Giants are going to be looking at tight end in the 3rd round. We have 2 picks in the 3rd round. We're at 67 and 81. We know it's a need, and there's a plethora of them, Jason. I mean, Trey McBride's the most popular name. I don't know where he's going to go. Most people have him pegged to go in the 2nd round. That may be a little bit too early for the New York Giants. Then I think it's pronounced Dulcich, if I'm not mistaken, the kid out of UCLA. What I've read about Dulcich, it kind of reminds me a little bit about Evan Ingram. He's not really known for blocking, but he's supposed to be a guy with potential to be a really good wide receiver, receiving tight end in the NFL. He's a guy that's on most people's boards as the 2nd best tight end in this class. You got Jeremy Ruckert, who maybe is more of a do-it-all tight end, even though he may not be necessarily known as the greatest pass catcher. He was kind of he didn't, I don't think he caught a lot of balls last year, if I'm not mistaken, at Ohio State, because they had 2 great wide receivers. I think it's pronounced Watermeyer of Texas A&M. I heard that he dropped because he had a really bad pro day, and some people said he may not even be drafted. I don't know if that's going to happen, but that was a guy that was projected to go in the 3rd round. But there's so many options. Another guy that I've seen a lot of people talk about is the guy from Coastal Carolina. I think his name's Isaiah Likely. He's another guy I've heard about that I've watched some highlights on that could be a potential. But I think we're going to be looking at a tight end at that 81st pick, if I had to guess. Maybe the 100 and whatever, the 4th round pick we have, but I think it's going to be in that area. And I definitely think they'll address that position. The good news is there's going to be a lot of guys that we could choose from.
Yeah, I think you're looking at 4th round for a tight end. And again, I don't know, how big of a tight was a tight end a role in Buffalo's offense. He brought in Ricky Seals-Jones to block. He's obviously not a pass catcher. So it'll be interesting to see what they do. But again, like Chris said, no, there's not a tight end that blows your socks off in this draft. You're going to look for somebody to kind of fill a position. And, Ruckert is obviously, like you said, a do-it-all tight end. That might be the type of guy that they want to go with, because I don't think the tight end is going to be a big part of the offense here. I think they're going to be more used for blocking, everything else. But you would like a guy that could catch the ball. We didn't have that with Evan Ingram. So
there was another. I think it was. I'm trying to find a list. I think it was Otten, if I'm not mistaken. There was another tight end that supposedly the New York Giants were interested in. I haven't done much research on it, but I think I read an article. Kate Otten was another tight end we're potentially interested. But I'm with you. I think they're going to go for a more well-rounded tight end, probably, if I had to guess. I don't think it'll be a tight end the likes of a guy like Evan Ingram, because that's kind of what Ricky Seals-Jones is like. Not to say that he's near the caliber of a guy like Evan Ingram. The guy's been hurt, pretty well. Yeah. Ingram had injury problems too. But he's kind of more of a receiver than a blocker. I think they need more of that well-rounded tight end. I think that's what they're going to be looking for in the draft. Xerox, he says, all right, boys, how's it hanging? I had a dream last night that we took Evan Neal and Gardner. That was my first mock draft, so I hope I'm right, and because I'd be thrilled if that happens. I was happy in my dream. What do you think? I just told you. I'd be very happy with that.
I'd be happy with that too. I have no problem with them doing that at all.
I mean, Baddog, just think about this. If
they got Evan Neal, I don't expect Evan Neal to be there. I think he could go first overall, honestly. He could be interesting if he went first overall. It'd be interesting to see what happened with Aiden Hutchinson. Well, I don't think Malik Willis is going to. So
I don't think he's going first overall. I think the Jaguars are going edge.
You do? You think they're getting Hutchinson?
But I think Houston's going tackle at 3. Which could mean Ekwonu or Neal could get to us.
Yeah.
So either one, I'd be thrilled. Somebody brought this up to me the other day, and they brought up a really good point. They said if Ekwonu and Neal get to you at 5, and you pick one of them, would you consider taking the other at 7, being that Ekwonu could play guard? Most people feel like Ekwonu would be better suited for guard. And my initial response was, hell yeah. We got Evan Neal, we got Ekwonu, and we got Andrew Thomas. Yep. And it's not even an argument of whether or not there's a BPA there. But then he brought up a really good point. He said, you're right, but we've seen offensive linemen, how they act when they're put in positions that they don't necessarily want to play. Ekwonu probably doesn't want to be drafted to be a guard.
Right.
So that was a really good point, I thought. So my line of thinking was maybe the Giants wouldn't go that way because of that. But because he projects to be a tackle, even though people feel like he could be a guard. But that was a thought. But if we ended up with both those guys and Ekwonu was willing and able to be a guard, I would be thrilled if we ended up with that.
That'd be dream scenario.
Yeah.
Then I would never want to hear. Then Daniel Jones better throw 35 touchdowns. I don't want to ever hear about him again if they put that.
Yeah. And Pandemonium says thoughts on Smith Jr. There's Smith. Which Smith Jr. is he talking about?
I'm not sure.
Yeah, maybe somebody in the chat could say it's probably going over our head. I should probably know this. Let's see what we got here. And what's going on there? Let me say hello to a couple of people in the chat, man. What's going on there, Benjamin? What's going on there, Agitator? What's going on there, Nova? What's going on there, Hirsch? Alfonso in the chat, man. Thanks for popping in the stream, man.
I see real quick. I see Duran says, do you really want 3 big contracts in your line? They asked Joe Shane about that. And
he's talking about Smith Jr., the free agent that we signed today. That's what he's
talking about. Gotcha.
Yeah, I'm like saying in my head, is he talking about Dennis?
I'm thinking of draft. That's what I was thinking.
I'm like, who the hell is he talking about? Yeah, we signed the former wide receiver of the 49ers.
Yeah, he's a kick return guy.
He's known to be a strong kick returner.
Yeah.
I mean, he did have one game, I think like 2 years ago, that I saw where he caught for like 180 yards. Or I was like, oh, that's Kadarius Toney-esque last year. But,
right.
Yeah, I think he's a depth guy. I don't think he's probably not going to be a guy that cracks the rotation unless there's injuries. I think he was probably a guy that was brought along more to be, like you said, a special teamer or a kick returner, maybe with some speed. I don't know a whole lot about him, if I'm being honest with you. My friend who's a 49ers fan did tell me he likes him, and he thought he was a good player on Twitter today when I tweeted about it. But I don't know a whole lot about him. But I do know the book on him is he's a good kick returner.
Yeah, I'll just get back to Duran's point about do you really want three big contracts in your line? Joe Shane was asked that in his press conference, and he said, "I would like to have that problem. We cross that bridge when we come to it." That was pretty much what he said. You wouldn't have to worry about that for 4 years. So, five really, if you consider you could pick up the 5th-year option. But he said that they asked him about that, about getting the contracts. And what actually wasn't his press conference. I'm sorry. He did a thing where he was taking calls, and I saw it at the very end of the Q&A. And the guy asked him that, and he said, "I would like to have that problem. That's something we would cross that bridge if we came to it, about signing, having 2 contracts come up at the same time." So, that'd be at least 4 years down the road. And I don't think he can worry about that. I think if that's what he wants to do, that's what he would do. So. I think he get paid for it. They'd have to find a way.
Like I said, we don't even know the guy, young man. It was Richie James. So that's not even the guy he was talking about.
Oh, right.
Richie James Jr. No, that is the guy that he meant to say, I think, because it was a junior, but he just got the name wrong.
Yeah.
So I think we answered it right. Xerox, he says, "I heard a rumor that Aiden Hutchinson can manage only 14 reps on the 225 press. #boy arms. That's why he had so much help at his pro day." He didn't do the bench press. Let me take a quick look. I guess he didn't. Let me see. Oh, actually, I know he didn't. I remember talking about that. Yeah, he did not do the bench press. Yeah. That's a rumor. Who knows?
That's pretty bad because I weigh a lot less now, but I know years ago I could do 16 reps at 225, and I'm certainly was never this size of Aiden Hutchinson. So, but I think that's overblown.
I think it's overblown
not a lineman where you're really digging into a guy. I don't.
People talk about that with Willis too. They're like, "Oh, he didn't run the 40 time because that hurt his draft stock." Which means he probably wouldn't run as fast.
Kyler Murray didn't run the 40 either, and I think some guys do that because they're like, "I don't want to be thought of as a running quarterback."
Yeah, it's a good point.
They run it at their pro day, but Kyler Murray didn't run it.
He didn't even run it as pro day.
Yes, Kyler Murray didn't either.
Yeah,
because they're like, "I want you to think of me as a quarterback and not a runner."
Yeah, that's probably the reason.
Yeah.
But yeah, I have no idea. I did not hear that rumor, but maybe that's why he didn't do the bench press. Didn't want it to hurt his draft stock. But at the end of the day, I don't think it's going to affect him. I think he's going first overall. Yeah. And Bono Man, thank you for becoming a member. He says, "Stand up, new member." Anthony says Tibbs better than Hutchinson. I don't think that's a horrible take. Most people have Hutchinson as number 1, but I mean, you go back a year ago, Thibodeau was the consensus number 1 pick in this draft. And
his problem is you just worry about his love for the game. Like I said, that when the whole Trayvon Walker thing happened, because Thibodeau ran the 40 and that was it. He didn't do any other drills. And then Trayvon Walker had the big jump, had a huge combine. It was like, "Ooh, Trayvon Walker to the Giants, No.
Yeah. I was just reading a troll in the chat. I just blocked him. But yeah, Trayvon Walker, I like him, but I don't want him. Not what we're picking. Nikki says, "Thoughts on the proposed NFL overtime rule?" Yeah, did you see this today? I don't know what the exact rule is. I think Schefter came out today and said, or one of the Rappaport, one of them, said that they're in talks of potentially changing the overtime rules. What's your take on it? Do you like that?
What was the overtime rule? What are they going to change?
The current overtime rule is if you score a touchdown, the game's over on the first drive. If you kick a field goal, the other team gets an opportunity. I'm assuming what the change would be is no matter what happens with the first drive, the other team gets the ball.
I'm okay with that in the postseason. Regular season, I like the way it is. Yeah. But the Bills-Chiefs game, I even put it on Twitter that they need to change that in the postseason. Both teams should get a possession in the postseason. Regular season, no. I think the postseason should be different, though. I mean, that's life or death. And I don't think it's fair that now people can say, "Whoa, Buffalo shouldn't have given up a field goal in the last 15 seconds." I understand that, but it still went to overtime and they never had a chance to possess the ball. What are you going to do? Get mad at Kansas City because they were able to move the balls? That, you're playing against Pat Mahomes and Travis Kelce that nobody's been able to stop those guys for years. I think in the playoffs they should. But in the regular season, I think they should keep it the same, honestly.
I think that's fair. I see not just you, Owen Hastings. I saw a ton of people say this on Twitter. He says, why though? They should be able to play defense. And that's a fair point.
Yeah.
But what I'll say, Owen Hastings, is like Baddog said, when I watched that Bills and Chiefs game, I got the same sour taste in my mouth too, because I knew whoever won the coin toss was going to win the game. So the way I look at it is, yeah, the Bills should be able to stop them. But if the Bills won the coin toss, the Chiefs wouldn't have been able to stop them. And
Right.
I think a lot of fans watched that game and they said that was way too good of a game to be decided upon because of a team winning a coin toss. Because you knew whoever won that coin toss was going to win and was going to advance in the playoffs. So that was my thought process after watching that game as well. And I do think it should be a change. But I do understand that thought process as well, is you should be able to stop them if you want to win the game. But we all know in today's NFL, it's hard, man. It's hard when you're going up against these high-flying offenses, and they were both flying that night. They put up like 10 touchdowns or whatever. And,
it's crazy.
Yeah, so I agree. I do think they should make the rule change, specifically in overtime, in a postseason rather.
Yeah.
I think that's good. I think I'd agree with that, because in regular season, the games could go on forever, right? So I think that's a good one. Elvis says, people say some boxers have a glass jaw. Barkley has glass everything. Something pulls, tears, or breaks on Barkley, trade him. Hey, he's been banged up. I want to root for the guy. I think he's a great guy, but he's been banged up. I will say last year I didn't expect Barkley to be vintage Barkley. I thought it would take another year. And hopefully he does bounce back this year, and hopefully he does look great. But we'll see. But there's no denying it. The guy's had injury problems. The thing that sucks is there was no history of him having injury problems before the NFL at Penn State.
Right.
The running back position is just a position where it doesn't matter how strong you are or durable you are. A lot of it comes down to luck. I mean, Adrian Peterson is built like an ox. He tore his ACL, right? So
twice.
Yeah. So twice. Yeah. So it's just it just comes with the position. It's the nature of the beast. It's why most people feel like you shouldn't take a running back that early in the draft. So
yeah, they get beat up. They don't have a very long shot. Yeah, Peterson's a different story. A lot of running backs do not get better when they get into their 30s. They're usually on their last leg. They have very short. That's why their second contract is so massive to them, because their third contract ain't going to be anywhere close, because they're going to be in their 30s, and nobody's really looking to sign a 32-year-old running back to a long-term deal. So, yeah.
I saw somebody, Gary says he played on grass at PCU. That's a good point. A lot of people bring up the turf. Is that a possibility for some of the injuries? And it could be. I mean,
remember, he tore his ACL in Chicago.
And he got hurt in Dallas this year, right?
He tore his ACL in Chicago, and he stepped on a guy's foot. The turf sucks. I mean, don't get me wrong, but I don't think that was – and Barkley got hurt in Tampa, Jones's first game, when he sprained his ankle there. So he's never – I don't think he's gotten hurt at MetLife. I think all of his injuries do come on the road, which is –
You might be right about that. Yeah, you might be right about that.
Come on the road.
Bodo says it's only during the postseason, and that's only if the defense doesn't score a touchdown or safety. So that is the rule. So they made the rule official.
Oh, good, perfect.
Or maybe that's the proposed rule. I like that. If the defense scores, the game should be over. That for sure. The offense got their opportunity. They threw a pick six.
Yes.
I like that. Yeah, I think that's a good. Bodo, I think that's a good rule. I'm with that rule. I'm on it. I'm with it. I like it. I don't think he did, Duran. I don't think he ever had injuries at the collegiate level. Barkley.
I don't remember him having.
I don't think he did. We already talked about it, Matthew, for about 10 minutes. I didn't expect to talk St. Peter's tonight, but I watched the game. I was into it, and we already talked about it. St. Peter's looked fantastic. And I hope I don't want to. I'm rooting my ass off for him. I think it's going to come to an end in 2 days, but I hope not. I hope they win the whole thing. But I've been watching the tournament, and North Carolina to me looks like the best team in the country right now. I don't care if they're the 8th seed; they've looked fantastic. And UCLA, of course, went to the Final Four last year. So if St. Peter's ever wins against one of those two teams next in 2 days, screw it. I'll pick them to win the whole thing. So. But we'll see. One thing, a common phrase that a lot of people say in basketball, specifically college, defense travels. That's one thing that You know, if you can play defense, you can give yourself an opportunity to win. And St. Peter's has been playing it throughout the entire tournament. So they've been doing a great job.
Yeah. Yes, they have. They have indeed.
What's up there, OMB, man? Thanks for popping in the stream, man. Pumpkin says Barkley was never injured in high school, college, and the NFL until the second season. He went 6 straight. Yeah, so there you go. So never had a history of it coming into the league. But that, like I said, that's the nature of it. First off, it's just a sport in general, regardless of the position.
Right. Yeah.
You know, so
he's had bad luck.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, I mean, he tears ACL. That's never anybody's fault. It's bad luck. Stepped on a guy's ankle. It's just a freak injury, but yeah, it's just amazing how the guy can't stay healthy since Daniel Jones became the quarterback. It's incredible. Daniel Jones' first game, Barkley got hurt, and yeah, I'm telling you, man, I'm telling you, Barkley is a great talent. There's no doubt about it. But Eli Manning had a lot to do with his success because, as I said, I think Saquon Barkley had in 2019 he had 4 100-yard games, and Eli Manning started 3 of them. And Barkley finally had another 100-yard game this year against the Bears, and I think we lost 37-7. Was it against the Bears? He had 100 yards against somebody.
I don't remember who. He had a big game against the Saints. Yeah, I know that.
But I don't think he had 100 yards. I think he had 100 yards on the ground.
Yeah.
He had a big receiving game against the Saints.
Yeah.
I forgot it was Chicago. I don't know if it was Chicago. Chicago had minus 10 passing yards.
Yeah, it was the Bears. It was the Bears. He always does good against the Bears.
He does. And he tore his ACL against the Bears, which is insane. But
yeah,
so he had 100 yards against the Bears. We lost 29-7, or whatever the hell the score was. And we had minus 10 yards passing. It's insane. I think that was the bag in the head video. I think. It was a rough last month of the season.
Yeah, I tried to forget it. It was that Dominic, man, thank you for being a member for 8 months. Says Baddog and Chris, the dynamic duo. Here's to a progressive year for the Giants. I just want to see improvement week after week. Bleed. I think that's where my head's at too. I mean, I did I didn't tell you this. I did once in a blue moon. I'll do like a Twitter live where it's kind of like a call-in show, but I don't got to worry about people calling and showing their genitals. And you just get to, talk to people in the chat. And Carl Banks actually called in. I got to talk to him for like 20 minutes. And he told me he thinks the Giants are going to be able to compete in this division this year. And I said, I hope you're right, Carl. I'm not going in with those expectations. I hope he's right. Football's a game of inches. Anything can happen. Nobody thought that the Eagles were going to compete in the division going into last year. Who knows? Maybe they improved the line, the new offensive scheme, but I'm going to temper my expectations, and I'm going to hope for steady progression throughout the year. Yeah,
I was doing a Laker game, and someone's like, Chris was talking to Carl Banks. I didn't know where, though. I didn't know it was on Twitter.
Yeah, it was on Twitter. Yeah. He actually followed me, too. He followed me like 2 days ago. I was like, wow, that's cool.
The one thing about Carl Banks, it's weird because he calls Daniel Jones Danny Donations. I don't know. Carl, it's weird because Carl Banks will be like all on board of the Giants, and then there's times where he'll just tear into them, where he's like, "Yeah, they're not a good team," or he'll definitely call them out if they're playing poorly. I love Carl Banks; he's one of my favorite players of all time. I mean, I grew up watching Carl, but I don't think we're competing in this division.
Yeah.
I don't. We'd have to nail the draft. We'd have to knock that out of the park, and everybody would have to stay healthy.
Yeah.
And then maybe we could compete.
I mean, I hope. It's the NFL. Anything can happen.
The NFC East isn't going to be good again.
That was what he said. He said the NFC East is weak. The NFC
Eagles could very well win this 9-8.
Yeah. So we'll see.
Dallas is going to fall off.
I agree. They still may win the division, but they're not winning 12 games. I agree. I could see 9 wins, like you said, winning the division.
Yep.
John says, thoughts on Carson Wentz going to Washington? I think it was a scenario like Baddog said earlier during the stream of Washington probably not being in love with any of the quarterbacks in this draft. They saw an opportunity to get a guy that could man the fort for 2 or 3 years. I think that's exactly what it was. Whether or not it's 2 or 3 years, we'll see. Of course, he was, even though his statistics were actually solid last year with the Colts, but if you talk to anybody, they said he was underwhelming, and obviously that team not making the playoffs, and obviously the Colts didn't think very highly of him. They traded him for a lot less than what they gave up to get him. So what I'll say is I think it's an upgrade. I think Wentz is an upgrade over Taylor Heineke. So a lot of Giants fans downplaying the addition when they made it. I think he's an upgrade.
He's definitely an upgrade.
Yeah, but I don't think that Carson Wentz is the Carson Wentz that we all remember. When he was a potential MVP in 2017
before he tore his ACL.
Yeah. So I think he's
a bad year for Indianapolis last year.
I think he's an average starting quarterback, which is
way better than what they had there.
Yeah. So if they could stay healthy, which they did not, they had as many injuries as we did last year. We know their defense has potential. They could be an 8 or 9 win team. I think it was a solid pickup for them. But is Carson Wentz scare me? No. But I think it improved. They improved their quarterback room.
Yeah.
Shugi says, "Hi, grade the moves the Giants did in the offseason." Yeah, I mean, listen, I'm going to grade it on like a curve, I guess. Because you have to grade it based off of what we were capable of doing, which was not much. So, I mean, so far this offseason, I'd give him like a B. We haven't the thing I'm happiest about so far this offseason is we have not drained any cash. We have not backloaded any salaries for the most part. I know we pushed Gano's salary back a little bit, but he's a kicker. He doesn't make that much anyway, and he's going to be here for more than a couple of years if he keeps kicking the way he's been kicking. So it didn't bother me to kick $1 million or $2 million down the road with him. So that to me was the most important thing. I said that before free agency started. I don't want us backloading salaries. I don't want us signing guys to multi-year contracts. I want 1-year deals, 2-year deals that are easy to get out of. They filled a major need by bringing in Glowinski. They got a quality backup quarterback, obviously, with Tyrod Taylor, something that we needed. Feliciano's a stopgap center. He'll be here for like a year and man the fort there until such time we draft his replacement more than likely or sign his replacement or whatever. He is what he is. But for the amount of money that we had, I mean, the only thing that I guess people could really argue about that was debatably a bad move was the Logan Ryan cut. But that didn't bother me that much, to be honest with you, for the reasoning that I've stated. So I give him a solid B. And I think the main grade of this offseason is going to be based off the draft because that's where we're going to make our impactful moves this year. It's going to be in the draft.
Yeah, I agree. I gave him a B-. Again, more so of, they didn't have a lot of flexibility. And he went out there. Like you said, Glowinski is the best thing we did. I really liked some guys didn't like the Tyrod Taylor move. Oh, you paid him too much money. Why you give him $17 million? He's no good. He sucks. I'm like, yeah, I understand that he's a backup and he's a serviceable backup and he's been a starter in the NFL and he's won games in the NFL and he's certainly a bigger upgrade. And again, I believe that Shane's plan is he's a backup this year. He's probably going to play at some point because Daniel Jones can't stay healthy. Daniel Jones ain't going to be here next year. Your rookie quarterback's coming in. Tyrod Taylor's your stopgap quarterback. Then when the rookie ready to take over, Tyrod Taylor goes back to the bench, and then they do something else in 2024. But I liked the Tyrod Taylor signing. Did you pay him a little money? Of course, you got to overpay everybody in free agency.
Yeah.
Okay, you got to overpay everybody. So, and then the rest of them are, like I said, they're camp bodies. They're not going to make a massive impact. Ricky Seals-Jones is not going to turn into Rob Gronkowski. That's not going to happen. So yeah, we didn't have a lot to do. There wasn't a lot we could do. And obviously if they can get rid of Bradbury, that'll certainly help our offseason as well. But I think it was, I'm not going to say it was great, but it wasn't horrendous. About a B-.
It's what I think it was about what it is.
Expected.
Yeah, it couldn't have been much better. We had no money. So, I don't think it's really an offseason that you should have had many expectations. And the other thing that I'll say, I guess, is a plus is we didn't sign back Evan Ingram. We let him go.
Correct.
We're going to get a comp pick for him. And we may even get a comp pick for, what's his name? The D tackle. What's his name? Why does it escape me right now? The D tackle Austin Johnson. He unexpectedly got $7 million a year. So, he left. Lorenzo Carter left. We didn't bring back any of the guys, which to me is probably a plus. Right. You let those guys go.
Well, Hernandez, they let him walk.
So it's what I expected. It's what they needed to do. And it's an uneventful office season, but I knew it's what was going to happen. Darian, man, thank you very much. He says, better than Geno Smith for Eli. Yeah. I think he's better than Geno Smith. I mean,
Yeah,
Tyrod Taylor's
better than Geno Smith or Eli because Eli was never hurt.
well, Eli never needed a good backup. Like you said,
that's what I mean. He did.
Eli's best backup was probably Carr, right? I mean,
Kurt Warner, maybe if you want
Kurt Warner. Well, Warner's really the starter.
Yeah. But yes, probably David Carr.
Probably Carr, right?
David Carr,
who never saw the field. But I definitely think he's a more accomplished quarterback than Geno Smith. Geno Smith was horrible. Yeah. I mean, I know he was a highly thought of prospect coming out of West Virginia, but the guy never amounted to much in the NFL. Nope. Tyrod Taylor's got a career 26-25 record. He brought a Buffalo Bills team to the playoffs. And he's going to be a guy. He's not going to win you games. He's not going to go out there and put the team on his back, but he's also not going to lose you games either. Mm-hmm. He had 3 straight years there with Buffalo with a very good touchdown to interception ratio. And, he's a smart quarterback. He's not going to make a ton of mistakes. He could extend plays with his legs. Probably knows his limitations, So I think he's a very good backup quarterback. Definitely a better quarterback than Geno Smith.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, definitely not Jared Lorenzen, Duran.
Not the hefty lefty. No.
Rest in peace.
Rest in peace.
Connor says, Chris, everybody has given up on Daniel Jones. I still think he has a chance to be our quarterback for the future. Hey, Connor, I'm not going to bash you for that. Everybody's entitled to their opinions, and, we'll see. For the people that think that Daniel Jones could be the guy, I think your reasoning, the sound reasoning would be you feel like the new scheme, that you hated the scheme with Jason Garrett. You think now by bringing in Mike Kafka, by bringing in Brian Dable, they're going to upgrade the offense. They're going to fix the offensive line. And you think hopefully this team could stay healthy. You saw glimpses the first 4 or 5 games last year before the Dallas Cowboys game where everything went to hell with all the injuries. The biggest thing for me with Daniel Jones, outside of just the lack of winning and the lack of, consistency on the football field, which some is his fault, some is the which I think most people could agree. It's a combination of him and the supporting team around him. But the biggest thing for me, outside of all of that, is the guy hasn't been able to stay on the football field. I mean, you're entering year 4. The guy's already missed almost a season's worth of games. He's missed 14 games, I think it is, in 3 years. Maybe I'm wrong on that, but close enough. That durability is a major question mark. And the other thing you have to ask yourself, Bad Dog, if you're being honest with yourself as a Giants fan, even if he improves this year, if he throws 27, 28 touchdowns, are you willing to give him a second contract? Do you see some of the contracts these quarterbacks are getting?
Yeah, no, I'm not willing to give him 25, 30 million. That's the very low end.
More than that.
That's what I'm saying. That's the very low end.
Yeah.
The thing is, usually you want your quarterbacks win Super Bowls in the rookie contracts, because once you start having to pay them, you have to take away from your other talent. We don't have talent already. So you're going to want to put that money in other places and bring in a cheaper quarterback, in my opinion. Daniel Jones may be able to go somewhere else and have success. I just don't think it's here with the Giants. Now, my biggest problem with Daniel Jones has been the same for years. I think his instincts are bad. I think his awareness is bad. And scheme or no scheme, that's something you just can't coach. It's always been my biggest concern with him, is that's never improved. And again, you may plug, hey, you got to do this, you got to do this. And maybe for a couple of plays it's there, but we all go back to what we do instinctually. And he's not a guy like everyone's like, he can run, he runs, but they're all, they're set for him to run. Those are set plays for him to take off. Those RPOs are for him to run. They're designed for him to run. It's rare that you see him escape the pocket and take off for 12 yards like Aaron Rodgers used to do, like Steve Young used to do, where that's where they're going to get their yardage, is those little plays. Pat Mahomes does that. But, Daniel Jones on the set plays obviously can run well. He's been in the league for 3 full years, and that has never improved. So, that's my biggest issue.
I think we all hope he turns into Josh Allen this year, and
I think that.
Yeah, and we have no doubt. So yeah, give him it. We need him. But realistically speaking, if I'm going to be unbiased, listen, I'm a fan. I want him to do that. I want him to win. I want him to be the best quarterback in the NFL. I definitely think the odds are against him, and we'll see. But I'm definitely leaning that we'll be looking for a quarterback in 2023. I think he's going to be the starting quarterback this year, and they'll take it on a game-by-game basis and see how he progresses as a quarterback and take it from there. I think the one scenario going into the year where I could see potentially Jones back, even though I do not think he will be. I think we will be drafting a quarterback in 2023. Would be if we were not able to draft a quarterback the following year because the team outperformed and he played relatively well, similar to what I just said, where he throws 27 touchdowns and the team wins 9 games and we're picking like 20 and we're not in a spot to trade up. You franchise tag him. I could see something like that.
Right.
But I honestly, in my heart, don't think he's going to get a second long-term contract with the New York Giants.
This isn't Joe Shane's guy. Joe Shane has no allegiance to Daniel Jones. This is a Dave Gettleman guy. So I think it'd be hard for Joe Shane to come in here as a new GM and go with a guy that's been shaky at best his 3 years in the league, even if he does have a good year. You don't want to pay somebody based on one good year. It kind of bit us with Leonard Williams. You don't want to pay a guy that has one good year in his on his free agent, year. After he hasn't been good for 3 years, and all of a sudden, like, oh, he had a really good year here, and then he kind of reverts back to what he was. And again, like you mentioned, Chris, his durability is a big question. Do you really want to give Daniel Jones $33 million a year, $29 million a year for 4 years or 5 years, knowing that he's had injury problems the first 3 seasons of his career? We don't know what the hell this neck thing is. I just don't think he'll be back here next year. Like you said, unless they franchise him.
If he plays good enough to get the tag, maybe. I see young man, and it's a fair question. He says, then why is he still on the team if he's not a Joe Shane guy? I'm going to tell you the reason, in my opinion, if he's the starting quarterback going into there, which I think he will be. They don't love any quarterbacks in this draft, and they don't want to force a quarterback pick, and they don't think that the team currently is equipped to support the quarterback that they want to bring in. I've also talked about how I feel if I was Joe Shane, I wouldn't draft a quarterback in this draft unless I was head over heels in love with him. I would look at this as a free year, stress-free, where I could start to build up the team for the quarterback I'm going to bring in the following year.
You mentioned before, when you're a GM and you take over a team, as soon as you draft that quarterback in the top 5, you're on the clock.
Yeah.
You've lost a year. You've lost this year. He's got nothing to lose. This really isn't his team. He's trying to build his team. Daniel Jones is Dave Gettleman's guy. So if Daniel Jones
there's no pressure on him. If
Daniel Jones sucks and we suck.
Yeah. If Jones is incredible, Dable looks like a mastermind.
Exactly.
And if Daniel Jones is not good, we knew we were taking a quarterback in 2023 anyway, John. Exactly. You can't get mad at me.
Right. That's not my guy.
So that's what I think the situation is, if I'm being honest. And I hope he proves us all wrong. Listen, when he's on the field on Sundays and I'm streaming the game, I'm going to be rooting my ass off for him. Every time the guy makes a big play, I'm going to be cheering my ass off, and he's my quarterback until they tell me he's not. So exactly. I'm going to, I'm going to rock with DJ until such time he's not the starter. But my honest opinion is I don't think he'll be the starter after this year.
Nope, I don't either.
Lexo says, look at our opponents for next year. We could definitely make a run for these. Thibodeau and best offensive lineman available, please. Love both you. Go Big Blue. Lexo, man, thank you so much, man. I appreciate it. And, I hope you're right. We play a soft schedule, but what I'll say to you is every team in our division plays a soft schedule too, right? We're all in the same division. I know we play a last place schedule, but we actually had a little bit of bad luck. The Ravens finished in last place of the North due to Lamar Jackson going down with an injury. I probably would have played, maybe played the Steelers or, with a rookie quarterback, who knows? But I'm not going to get excited about schedules anymore. We've looked at schedules before and we've said to ourselves, maybe we could win 9 or 10 games. Every team in our division is playing a similar schedule. We'll see. It's going to come down to the games in the division. If we're going to stand any chance, Giants are going to have to win 4 or 5 games in the division if you want to stand the chance to win this division.
Yeah. I said that last year. I felt like I had to do that last year. But the other thing is, you got to think about this. Everybody that's looking at their schedule going, oh, we got the Giants. That's a win.
Yeah.
That's a win. We got the Giants. That's a win.
So we'll see. Take it one game at a time, and I'm going to go in with low expectations. I'm not going to build my expectations.
Listen, I think that Joe Judge was the worst coach I've ever seen. And I don't sugarcoat that. He sucked.
Yeah.
Okay. He was terrible. He brought out rages in me. I didn't know were in there. He brought out a paper bag in my head.
I knew they were there. You have a short memory, Baddog. I was at the Jet Giant.
That's true.
I had to hold you back from running onto the field.
That's right. Yeah. I didn't like Sherman, but
or the windpipe, but
right. Oh, sure. He made me mad that damn Eagle game, not running Saquon Barkley. And what the hell are you doing? But he was better than Joe Judge. Joe Judge ran back-to-back quarterback sneaks from the 4-yard line. It got no worse than Joe Judge. I forgot where the hell I was going with that. It's just talking about Joe Judge, and I got to go look at the tape right there because I forgot the hell I was talking.
We got to go back and look at the stream after the fact.
Go back and look at the stream. But,
that, by the way, Brian Dable, if you're not watching.
I know what I was going to say now.
Go ahead. Say
I was just going to say he was awful, but you got to look at the roster too. The roster is not very good. Our offensive line we knew going into the year, massive question mark. Saquon Barkley can't stay healthy. Daniel Jones can't stay healthy. Kenny Golladay can't stay healthy. Sterling Shepard has a torn Achilles. What the hell is he going to be? We have 2 safeties going into the year. We're going to lose our best corner, most likely. We have no tight ends going into the year. So, again, Dable is going to be better than Judge, but this roster still needs a ton of work, and that's why I don't think we're ready to compete yet. I think this is a year where you start to build so you can compete, but I don't think we can expect to compete because, again, what did we bring in here? We had no money to bring in any impactful players. You hope your draft picks are.
We lost impactful players.
Right. You hope your draft picks are. That's
Yeah.
what the draft is for, but I just think this roster still needs a lot of work, and I don't think we're ready to compete yet. I'm hoping I'm wrong. I'm wrong a lot. So let's hope I'm wrong about that.
Doug, let's hope we're as wrong this year as we were last year.
Correct.
Because last year we said 9 wins.
Yes.
And we won, 4?
Yeah.
So this year we're probably going to say like 5 or 6 wins. Let's hope they win 12. So,
yeah. The year before we each picked them to win 6.
Say 6 the year before and they won 6. So
won 6.
Hopefully they prove us wrong and make us look like fools.
Yeah.
Irish says, based on what Joe Shane has done with free agency, I believe he will find quality players after the 3rd round of the draft. I really like the Richie James pick up for wide receiver. I hope so, Irish. I mean, in the past, he wasn't the GM, but in the past, the Buffalo Bills have drafted relatively well. He's known as a guy that could be a good evaluator of talent, and we'll start to evaluate him after this draft. I mean, it's a question mark. It's a question mark how he's going to draft. He's never been a GM before, right? So we'll see. Seems like a smart guy. Brings a fresh spice to the New York Giants. We'll see. I'm not going to get overexcited until I start to see. I think he made some solid moves, Irish. Cost-effective moves, 1-year deals, guys that could plug some holes. But for me, he's going to make his money come draft time. We'll see how he drafts, and I don't think we're going to be able to evaluate this draft for a few years. That's usually how drafts work. But to me, it's if he attacks what we feel he needs to in terms of the needs with the line and the edge and the corner, hopefully brings in some good players and he gets this team going in the right direction. Diehard says DJ is not the guy. The 6 inches between his ears is the first thing. Reset the clock.
Exactly. I agree. That's pretty much what I said.
I think it's fair.
I saw it after a super chat. He said 100% agree, Bet. So we're on the same page with that. Again, it's physically, I've said this for 2-3 years now. He's got the talent physically. He's got a good arm. He's accurate when he has conviction in his throws, but I think sometimes he's too hesitant. And I think he doesn't know how to climb the pocket. And I think he makes bad decisions when he's under pressure. And again, that's instincts to me, and they have not improved. He has not gotten a feel for the game, and he doesn't see a lot of the pressure. And it just, I go back to the throw he made across the field, threw it right to the nose tackle. I don't know what the hell that was. It's things like that just drive you insane. And it's like, you can't make that throw. You can't make that play there. You have to throw the ball away or whatever. He's just got bad instincts to me. I think he can make all the throws. He's obviously got some speed. He's more athletic than people give him credit for. I mean, he made the Odell Beckham-like catch, which is probably the highlight of him as a Giant.
He made the best catch last year of any Giant.
Yeah, that was pretty awesome.
Running over Grady.
It's not like I dislike him as a person and think he's just an ass.
Seems like a great guy.
I think he works hard. I don't think that this is a work ethic thing. I just think his instincts are bad. And sometimes you just have it happens in life. Some people have bad instincts in life and things that they do. There's nothing you can do about it. So that's always been my biggest concern with DJ is just, are those instincts there? Is he ever going to get a feel for everything that's around him? So far, he hasn't done that yet. Maybe Dable's system gives him confidence and he can get out of whatever the hell funk he's in between his ears. But it's hard to say that after 3
Oh.
full seasons that he's all of a sudden going to figure that out.
It's faith at this point. If you're somebody that thinks that Daniel Jones is going to be the guy, it's faith. It's not evidence.
Yeah.
It's faith that the changes are what's going to do it. Dire Giants fan, stand up. Member for 27 months, man. Thank you so much. Connor says, I don't see us being bad enough to get a top 3 quarterback. I have no idea. Because I don't know. We'll see. I mean, we'll see. Like somebody said earlier, our schedule's a little bit weak. I personally think we're going to start off slow. It's a new coach. It's a new, a lot of young players. I have to see the schedule, of course, in terms of how it aligns. But I think we'll start off slow and we'll take it from there. I mean, depends on the teams in front of us, whether or not they need a quarterback. But
you say a top 3 quarterback. You mean picking in the top 3 or like one of the best 3 quarterbacks in the draft?
That's what I think he means. One of the top 3 quarterbacks in the draft.
I don't even know who the top 3. Bryce Young, Stroud, and then who?
Maybe Anthony Richardson from Florida. Maybe
no, never Florida. We talked about this.
There's a bunch of
actually wipe Stroud and Richardson off. You don't want anybody from Florida.
Yeah.
Anthony Richardson sucks.
Yeah.
No, definitely not.
But whoever it is, there's options, whether it be to trade up. And if you can't do that, trade for a veteran as a stopgap. We've done it before. We got Kerry Collins, right? We've got, so there'll be options. And that's something we worry about next offseason. You don't just take a quarterback because you fear you might not be able to take a quarterback in the next draft. Right. If you take a quarterback just to take a quarterback, you find yourself in the situation we currently are.
Yeah.
So you can't worry about that.
Yeah.
Art, man, thank you very much. He says, Chris, if we get rid of Jones, then what the heck am I supposed to do with my my Dimes jersey? Art, man.
I still have my Beckham jersey.
Yeah, you can still
keep
keep
my Tuck jersey. Went to the Raiders.
You get what you do. You get the next quarterback's jersey. That's what you do. Yeah. You move on. Then you get the next guy. You get the next
Dimes jersey too. You hold on to it. I have a Shockey jersey.
I got a Shockey jersey too.
So I don't have that Landon Collins jersey anymore. That one we got rid of.
No, I'm not surprised.
I didn't like him.
Al Bats, man. What's up, man?
Al, my man, Bats.
Good to see Bats.
Yeah, that's how you know we're back, because Al Bats is back.
He says, who would have thunk the St. Peter Peacock show, the true grit of New York, New Jersey fans. Holloway, we are from New York, New Jersey. We aren't afraid of anyone. We push people. I think that's the coach for the team. I love him in the post-game press conferences. And Al, I watched that game in start to finish today. It was great. I didn't think they were going to win at the start of the game, and then they just kept hanging around. They were down 4 with like 8 minutes left. I'm like, they lost. They're not, and they got big 3 after big 3. They stayed in it. Their defense kept them in the game, and I'm pumped up to see what they could do in the Elite 8, man. And the Peacocks. What a name. What a name. The Iron Eagle had an unbelievable call. I was dying of laughter when he said it. I actually tweeted it. I forgot what it was off the top of my head. When the Peacocks hit like a big 3 to make it 54-51 or 54-52 or whatever, he said the Peacocks keep strutting their stuff. And but the way he said it, when he said it, I was like, oh, that's awesome. But I'm really excited to see what they can do in the next round, Al. But good to see you, buddy. Alphabet in the chat. He says, Joe Judge, the worst coach you have ever seen. He's not even the worst coach the Giants have ever had. Ray Hanley, John McVay. So he thinks there's been worse coaches than Joe Judge.
Well, I'm going to say this. I'm old, but I'm not old enough to remember Bill Lawrence-Sparker or John McVay. Those were 70s head coaches. I'm saying the worst Giants head coach I ever saw. And Ray Hanley had an 8-8 record in 1991. And Ray Hanley wasn't even supposed to be the head coach of the Giants. That was supposed to be Parcells. He kind of got thrown into that situation because Parcells had a heart attack and then decided to retire. Belichick was already gone. And let's be fair, Hanley had to deal with a lot of injuries. And that was an older Giants team. You had 35-year-old Otis Anderson. Obviously, Hampton was coming off the broken leg. Phil Simms. The biggest mistake Hanley made was naming Hostetler the starting quarterback. Hanley was not good. Don't get me wrong. Joe Judge was way worse, in my opinion. Hanley wasn't running quarterback sneaks on 2nd and 3rd down. I don't remember the Giants having a game where they had minus 10 passing yards. Maybe they did, but
I can't speak for Hanley because I didn't.
Yeah,
really
Lawrence-Sparker and McVay, though, they were horrible, but I didn't see them. I'm saying that's the worst Giants coach I've ever seen.
The coaches I can speak on. I mean, I saw Reeves, but I was young. I didn't really,
Reeves
Fossil.
made it to the playoffs in
Yeah, he won
'93.
Coach of the Year.
We were in overtime, win away, beating Dallas from winning the division.
He won Coach of the Year in '93, didn't he?
Yeah. So,
but no, I'm not saying he was bad.
And then in '94, we were 9-7 with Dave Brown as quarterback. So,
and then Fossil was obviously very good.
Yeah, I came in when Parcells was the coach, so I didn't see.
Yeah. Coughlin, obviously, the greatest since I've been watching the team, and then you had three.
McAdoo, but
take a pick after that. They all suck.
Bad leader of men, smart football guy. McAdoo is a smart football guy, bad leader of men. Made the playoffs in 2006.
I think Shermer's probably the same. A smart offensive mind, bad leader of men.
Shermer Shermer was weird. I thought Shermer was bad with timeouts till we saw
horrible timeout.
We were at the Jets game. He blew all his timeouts at 5 minutes to go in the fourth quarter.
Yeah. But whatever. I'm just glad that, we got a new guy in here.
Let's just hope that we don't have to put Brian Daboll in with those names that you mentioned. The Tad that shouldn't be. Let's hope.
I will say this. I do think Daboll will get at least 3 years because I think it's almost impossible for him not. Well, I shouldn't say impossible, but I'm not going to say that. But I think he'll get 3 years. I'm not going to say anything, but I think he'll get 3 years. Travis says, did you watch the Ranger game, Baddog?
I did. Chris Kreider had 2 goals, almost a hat trick. Igor was great. He had a bad game against the Devils, but Igor was great again tonight. I just like that Lafreniere got the scoring started. So, yeah, the Rangers, the short end, a goal went up 4-0. I was like, all right, they put this away. I was going back and forth between the Peacocks game and the Rangers game. When the Rangers went up 3-0, I kind of moved away from it. I would check back once in a while. And then when they got the short end, a goal, I was like, this one's in the bag. And I wanted to watch St. Peter's do their thing.
Yeah, and Al Bat says, Dog, do you remember the chant like Florida State chop? Ray must go.
I do remember that, yes. I can't believe we didn't get a Joe must go chant.
Maybe they did
get a Joe must go chant.
Maybe they did.
I do know that when they ran the quarterback sneak and the guy was screaming, "You're a bitch, Joe, you're a bitch." I'm like, that guy's related to me. So I definitely saw the guy who would scream. I was like, that's awesome.
Young Joker says, did the Jets want Sauce? I want to draft them and trade back for best offensive lineman available. And how do you guys feel about Jack Cohen, sleeper 4? To be honest with you, Young, I have not looked into him. In terms of the quarterback, I have not looked into him. As far as Sauce goes, I do think Sauce is very much in play for the Jets. And if I was doing a mock draft today, if the Jets are not trading down, I'd probably have them taking Sauce. I think they would go corner, especially after the Tyreek Hill trade. I think they're going to look at their division and say, we got to be able to cover these guys. And it's a weakness of their football team. So I think I'm leaning they'll go Sauce at 4. Doesn't mean they will. There was a bunch of teams that visited with him. There was like 4 or 5 that were listed today. And the Jets and Giants were 2 of them. But I'm leaning. If I was doing a mock draft today, I'd have them going 4 to the Jets if the Jets are not trading down.
The one thing I'll say about like the quarterbacks late in the draft, I don't think a new GM is coming in and drafting a quarterback in the 4th or 5th round as the future quarterback of the team. Maybe as a backup in the future or something, perhaps. Maybe if you want a 3rd string quarterback in your team or something, because obviously they're going in with Daniel Jones and they gave Tyrod Taylor $17 million. So again, I don't know if he would do that, but like Chris, I don't know much about the quarterbacks after, Desmond Ritter is probably the lowest guy, or like the lowest guy I'm thinking he's going to go early 2nd, I would imagine. He may go late first.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Right, he may go late first, but that's about as far as I've gotten down the quarterback list, because I really don't think we're messing with that position this year. I just think we have so many other things that we have to take. I think 4th round is a tight end spot. I think 5th round, you continue to work on the line to the second.
Running back too, we were talking about.
Right. Well, I think Cook.
3rd round.
I don't know where James Cook is going to.
I think he's a 3rd round pick.
So we can take him 67 if he falls, if he goes there.
Yeah.
I don't know if we're going to address the wide receiver in this draft. That could be late. That could be your 6th or 7th round guys. So it'll be interesting. But I think that 4 out of the first 5 picks have to be on that line of scrimmage, whether that's Cross and a couple linemen, an edge rusher. And like I said, I think that James Cook could definitely be one of those guys in those first 5 picks. But I think the other 4 would have to be on the line of scrimmage.
Kevin says Jets Michael Hamilton. Yeah, I could see Hamilton as well. I have seen some mocks where Hamilton actually goes to Detroit at 2. But yeah, I could see Hamilton's a wild card. He can go to a lot of places.
Yeah.
And Ellis says, check out the highlights of Ritter, Whataburger on me, Jones, and Barkley times up. Okay, I'll type that in. I'll take a look. I'm assuming that's the name of the video. Ritter, Barkley, Whataburger. Okay, Jones. I'll give it a look. But thanks for letting me know, man. Thank you for popping in. We're gonna close this out any minute. It's already midnight. We started at 9:45. But we had over like 650 people in here at one point. So you guys are friggin' amazing. Excited to be back live. Probably start doing some lives midday once a week as the draft approaches. Definitely gonna be doing this show once a week as well. I think Patricia Trainer told me I'm gonna be back on her channel soon too. So I'm looking forward to that. And I'll be live a lot more often. I'll probably do opening day for the Mets. I do that every year. So I'll be live for that. And yeah, I appreciate all you guys, everybody who stopped. Foot says stop talking Barkley trade. Unfortunately, Foots, it's going to be a topic of conversation. I don't think we're going to trade him preseason though, so I don't think you got to worry about that. But
he's not even back here next year though.
I don't think he'll be back next year. I don't. They're
not going to put all that money into a running back.
Yeah,
I think they're going to draft James Cook, and I think that's where they're going to.
Yeah, I do not think we'll be drafting or just keeping Barkley. I agree with you on that long term, but I don't think we'll trade him before the year starts.
Yeah, me neither. You're not going to get anything for him. You got nothing to lose here by keeping him at this point. You have only to gain if he has a good first 5 games and somebody wants to jump on board during the trade. If we're out of it.
When are the Super Friends going to do a mock draft? We usually do that like a week before the draft, Corey. Like the night, like the week leading up into the draft. That's probably when we'll do it. I'll probably do a mock draft here and there with you guys live. As the draft gets closer, still a little too early, but we'll definitely have that content up on the channel for sure. But yeah, again, next live stream, I'm not sure Entertainer Talking Drugs, but like I said, I'll be doing the Mets opening day. That's probably in, when is that, in like a week?
April 7th is a Yankee one. I know that.
So around
You're asking me like, man, are you doing the Yankees? First, I work, so no, I have to be at work, and second, it's my son's birthday, so he turns 5.
And we'll be doing the Giant Show on Bad Dogs next week. Yes. If anything big breaks, which I don't think will, leading up into the draft, maybe if there's a huge trade around the league, maybe I'll go live, talk about it. But outside of that, here and there, sporadically, leading up into the draft, we'll be live. I'll go live after the draft, recapping it with you guys, all that. Kevin says, thanks, boys. It'll be interesting to see how it all unfolds. Cheers. Thank you so much, Kevin, man. Appreciate it.
Great first name, and completely agree. It will definitely be interesting.
He's got a good-looking dog, too. I like that dog, Kevin. Let me pull it up for you again. Oh, it's a little small, so maybe you can't see it, but.
Oh, I'm not looking at that.
Oh, okay. I thought you were trying to look. Michael says 5 cross 7 Jermaine is very possible. But yeah, you see that in a lot of mocks now. Maybe. I mean, you never know with the draft. A lot of people are starting to push Jermaine Johnson to the Giants. It's possible. It all depends on how they have these guys evaluated. Dart says if Willis is the guy, but a lack of O-line hinders that to a point where it ruins his career, do those activists own up? Hell no, they don't. Dyer, I mean, my like I said, to me, and I'm never going to change my opinion. I said, like week 10, I said, there's going to be a quarterback this year, regardless, that fans that want a quarterback are going to fall in love with. They're going to hype up. They're going to say he's the second coming of this and that, and maybe he will be. Quarterback is a very unpredictable position. I'm not going to change my stance on it. I don't care. I do not want to take a quarterback this year. He's a project by all accounts, and the New York Giants do not have a roster currently, at least in my opinion, to best support a project. I went through this roster, like Bad Dog said throughout the stream, build up the trenches and then bring in that quarterback. So, we talk about how quickly Eli Manning evolved as a quarterback. Year 2, they were winning 11 games. He was 4th in the league in touchdown pass. A big reason for that is because he had a great support system. So I want to get that support system for the next guy. And I think that's what the mission is this year.
And then Eli Manning started to falter at the end of his career. Why? Because nobody protected him. That's hard to win when you're again, this offensive line's it wasn't as bad as a lot of people say it was. Like that, Daniel Jones never had time. Daniel Jones didn't have time. There was definitely times that, like on definite passing downs, he had no chance. That'll say.
Yeah, for sure. Ray says the draft's a blast with you guys. No, the draft's a blast with you guys.
Yeah, we have a lot of fun. We have a lot of fun doing that.
And Michael says we need the Trenchmen. That's what he calls it. Yeah. And
Like
no
it.
longer the Hogs because we got rid of David Gettleman. So we'll come up with something. Maybe it'll be the Trenchmen. But again, thank you to everybody for being here. Thank you guys for all the support. Super excited to be back live doing the show with Bad Dog. Like I said, I'll be live more leading up into the draft, and we'll be on Bad Dog's channel next week. One of these days. I don't know what the Lakers schedule is, but we'll figure out a day. Yeah, hopefully got some more things to talk about. Maybe there'll be trades around. We didn't even talk broad NFL today. There's a lot going around the league. So there's always stuff to talk about. You guys are our co-host. You guys steer the conversation. You guys are great. So thank you guys for all the support you guys always show. And I can't believe we've been doing this show for like 5 years or however long it's been.
Yeah, it'll be 4 years like in November. It is insane.
Yeah. So
I was talking to somebody about that at work today. How, I was like just talking about, how our channels have like progressed over the years and saying the first time we did this show, I said he called me on his way home from work. We talked for 2 minutes. Like, I'm going to get home. I'll let you know when I'm there. We're going to record it. And then I said the first thing he says is, I'm super excited to have one of my favorite guys in here. And hopefully this is a weekly show.
Is that the first thing
I said? And here we are 4 years later. And I told him, and again, maybe I'm wrong, but when Chris and I started doing this in, I think it was early November 2018, I don't remember content creators, like 2 content creators coming on and doing a weekly show about their team. That started to happen afterwards. I could be wrong, because when Chris and I started doing this, it was newer. I didn't think we definitely were not using StreamYard.
No, we were using Skype.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's definitely evolved, but yeah, I don't remember anybody else doing this. And now everybody does it. So good on us. Good on you, Chris. It was your idea. So good on you.
Oh,
good idea, sir.
We both made
and your dad from day one. I remember seeing that in the comment section. You guys have great chemistry. That was the first time we ever worked together. Some things are meant to be. We're meant to be, sir.
It worked out. And hopefully one day we're talking about a good football team.
Yeah, wait till that happens. Wait till we get to do those streams where we're 7-2. We're gonna kick their ass. We're sitting there talking about, damn, Chris, you see how good the quarterback was? Ah, man, you see how the offensive line was opening up holes or gash them. 6 sacks for the defense. Yeah, I won the game 28-10. It's great. Yeah, waiting.
Can't wait, man.
Waiting patiently.
I'm going to get to Al's in a second, but I just saw this from Ray. He says, I can't imagine playoff games with you guys. It'll be insane. I can't either.
Yeah, it'd be fun.
I can't. I mean, I've only called a Knicks playoff game for my teams, and hopefully this year I'll get to call a Mets playoff game. I can't imagine.
I've got to call Yankee playoff games. I can say that. I've got to call some good Yankee playoff games. DJ LeMahieu tying the game up in the 9th inning. I called the one where the Yankees destroyed Minnesota. They scored like 7 runs in the 3rd inning. I've called some, but the Mets should be better than the Yankees this year. But that's another show.
We'll see. Yeah, I mean, the Mets always find a way, but to screw things up. But I can't even imagine what a live stream Giants playoff game would be. That'd be insane. Hopefully we get there soon. Al says, "Night guys, you two do the best videos for shit fondue." All right, Al, man. Yes. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for being here, man. I appreciate all the support, man. And Dominic says 600 people tuning into an off-season stream when we suck. Imagine how it'll be when we're good. It'd be nice. It'll be fun, but
we're gonna find out someday. I promise.
We'll be in diapers.
We will live. If we have to live to be 110, well, Chris is 10 years younger than me. So if I have to live to be 120 and he has to live to be 110 before we get you guys a good team, we will.
All the 660 people in this chat, they're going to keep watching it too. So they're going to grow old with us.
Correct.
We're all going to be in like a retirement home together. You guys are going to be watching our first playoff stream. Bad Dog is going to be in a retirement home. I'm going to be in a retirement home. You're going to see people in strollers walking behind us, push carts, whatever they call it.
I'm not going to be able to make it to the bathroom anymore. So we're just going to have the pens on.
We're just going to have the bag, right? Or whatever.
Right.
The glass, whatever it's called. So, and you guys are going to be, you guys are going to be in your retirement homes watching with us, because it's going to be a long ways, but hopefully sooner than later we get there. Yes. But Bad Dog, close it out, man. And thank you to everybody for being here.
Yeah. Like that gentleman just said, like Dominic just said, I mean, we had over 700 people in here at the end of March. It's been rough, but in this year is probably not going to be great. But I'm definitely looking forward to the draft. This is definitely an exciting time of the year. 5 picks in the top 81. Chris and I will obviously be there all weekend to cover all 7 rounds with you guys and girls. The first night's going to be huge. We have 2 top 10 picks. What are we going to do with them? Like I forgot who it was that said it's going to be. Kevin said it's going to be interesting to see how it all unfolds, and hopefully you guys and girls are there with us to see how it unfolds. Like Chris said, we'll be doing this show weekly until we build up, until the draft, and then probably a few weeks afterwards. And really appreciate all you guys and girls support. You're the best. You're the best supporters on YouTube, and mean that from the bottom of our heart. So thank you for making this show. It is really appreciated.
Glad to be back, guys. We're going to be talking a lot more real soon. So thank you to everybody for tuning in. Bad Dog, do what you do.
All right. So everybody have a great night. Enjoy your weekend, and we will see you next time. For the Entertaining Talking Sports, Bad Dig Dizzle. We gone. Peace.